You were just born, and yet, you're already betrothed to a sword saintess who has been single for 3,000 years. However, as the sword saintess gazed upon the marriage contract, a deep displeasure filled her heart. I, a mighty sword saint who has roamed the continent for thousands of years, am to marry a newborn brat? No matter what methods she employed, she couldn't damage the contract in the slightest. Even more surprising to her, this infant possessed the legendary tyrannical physique. Could this marriage contract be a blessing from the heavens? Interesting. But if you want me to acknowledge that contract, you'll have to work hard. At this moment, your eyes widened. Before you stood the very fiancé the system had arranged for you. My assigned partner is so beautiful, and her voice is so pleasant, you thought. It seemed you would have to strive diligently in this life as well. Inside, you muttered, finding Zhang Fushan's beauty imposing and awe-inspiring. Her eyes held a hint of bewilderment. Why is this child crying, spacing out, and giggling foolishly all at once? Before leaving, she placed a blood-red jade pendant, which she carried with her, into your embrace. 3 years passed. At the age of 3, you were engrossed in a book on basic sword foundations. Through your extensive reading during this time, you gained an understanding of the cultivation system and its realms. Taking the most common example, sword cultivation, the realms were sword apprentice, sword master, sword sect, sword marquis, sword king, sword emperor, sword saint, and sword immortal. A total of 8 major realms. However, sword immortals were only spoken of in legends. Sword saints were the current pinnacle. Suddenly, a clear, girlish voice rang out. You looked up and saw a young girl in a red dress. You cutely said to her, "Big sister." Chen Shi, stepping lightly, approached. Seeing the book in your hand, she reached out and gently stroked your fair, small face, her voice clear and bright. Reading books is so boring. Come to the streets with me. I'll buy you Tonghulu candied hawthorns. You shook your head, saying in a childish, respectful voice, "Thank you, big sister, but I don't want Tonghulu. I want a sword." Chen Shi giggled at this. Ha ha ha, Chen Mu is so cute. So young and already reading books. You'll definitely be successful when you grow up and practice the sword. You blinked. Chen Shi hummed a little tune as she left the courtyard. Afterward, having reviewed the basic sword techniques several times, you decided to watch your second brother practice. In the open space of the courtyard, your second brother, Chen Hao, was practicing shirtless, a faint white mist visible around his mouth. This was spiritual energy being drawn into his body through a breathing technique. You had read about breathing techniques in your books. Advanced breathing techniques could absorb spiritual energy through every pore of the body. The stronger the physique, the faster the absorption of spiritual energy. Having understood the cultivation system, you plan to exchange for a high-grade breathing technique in the system store to cultivate. Chen Mu, seeing you approach, Chen Hao stopped his practice. After a brief chat, he learned that you wanted to learn cultivation from him. He taught you some simple movements and then explained the breathing method to you. It was the breathing method from the basic sword manual, the most common breathing technique. Using the breathing method, you guided your qi to your dantian. You felt a warm current moving within your body, growing stronger with each breath. Chen Hao instructed you to maintain a horse stance while he continued to practice basic sword moves in the courtyard. Half an hour later, Chen Hao looked at you from a distance, his eyes widening. He saw a white stream of air flowing continuously into your mouth. The same breathing technique, but with different results. Chen Hao scratched his head and chuckled, exclaiming excitedly, "Incredible." As expected of my third brother, in the evening, Chen Shi returned to the courtyard. Here, this is a sword from your sister. It was a short sword, half the length of a normal iron sword, and without a sharp edge. But it was indeed a sword. Indeed, it is a sword, she confirms. Thank you, big sister, you say, not minding that it's used. You extend your hands and accept the wooden sword from the young master. Madam has called for you to return for dinner, a maid announces, running into the courtyard. You nod to the maid. Brandishing the wooden sword, you call out, "Second brother, I'll come find you tomorrow to learn swordsmanship. That evening, you return to your room and sit cross-legged on your bed, preparing to exchange for a higher-level breathing technique. Reborn into this world where martial prowess is revered, you are determined to become a sword immortal admired by all, to live a carefree life with a 3-foot sword by your side. Host, Chen Mu, Realm, None. Sign in value, 1,200. No tasks. The shop is filled with a dazzling array of breathing techniques. You select the creation breathing technique that you had previously noticed. Although it's only a 4th grade technique at the threshold level, not exactly heaven-defying, it's still many times stronger than the breathing techniques in the basic sword manual. Exchange successful. 1,000 sign in value consumed. The cultivation method imprints itself upon your sea of consciousness. It's like an epiphany, instantly granting you mastery. That night, the spiritual energy around the city estate converges frantically towards your room. The boundless spiritual energy surges into your body, flowing through your limbs and hundreds of meridians. Blocked meridians are opened, and even your flesh and blood absorb the excess spiritual energy. However, you are unaware that your newly opened meridians are significantly thicker than those of ordinary people. The next day, you slowly open your eyes. The system panel pops up. Host, Chen Mu. Realm, Mid-stage 3rd grade sword disciple. Sign in value, 201. Tasks, none. Mid-stage 3rd grade sword disciple? You're slightly surprised. You only began cultivating yesterday afternoon. To break through 3 stages in half a day, you can't help but wonder if it's related to your special constitution. The overbearing sword body sounds impressive, but you still don't understand its use. You take out the white jade pendant from your pocket. This jade pendant is warm in winter and cool in summer. Last night, during your cultivation, you felt the jade pendant assisting you in absorbing spiritual energy. It seems this pendant can aid in cultivation. You put the jade pendant away, a smile playing on your lips. Your fiancé must have feelings for you, otherwise, she wouldn't have given you such a gift. But, you aren't planning to rely on handouts. You are resolved to become strong through your own efforts. The next day, after breakfast, you rush off to practice swordsmanship with your second brother. Meanwhile, Chen Shi is preparing to leave for Hangzhou 5th Academy. He had been home for a few days on break and is now returning to the academy to continue his studies. The biggest difference between 5th Academy and a sect is that one needs to pay to enter 5th Academy, while sects provide stipends to their disciples. The disparity between the two is obvious. They are located near the Zan Sword sect, the closest sect to the Great Yan dynasty, and its entry standards are relatively lower than other sects. Chen Shi has ordinary talent and failed to pass the Zan Sword sect's entrance examination. The Chen family had to spend a significant sum to send him to Hangzhou 5th Academy. Chen Hao and you, hearing that your older sister is leaving, decide to see her off at the relay station. The streets of Blackstone City are lined with vendors. Chen Shi buys you a candied hawthorn skewer along the way. Before leaving, Chen Shi reminds Chen Hao, you're the older brother. Take good care of Chen Mu at home. Don't worry, Chen Hao assures, throwing an arm around your shoulders, a simple, honest smile on his face. You wave to Chen Shi, calling out in a childish voice, Big sister, see you at New Year's. See you at New Year's, Chen Shi replies, waving back with a hint of reluctance. After seeing your older sister off, the two brothers return to the Chen estate to continue their training. In the open courtyard, you look at your hands, feeling the spiritual energy attached to them. You've successfully stepped into the 4th grade sword path. Host, Chen Mu. Realm, 4th grade sword disciple, initial stage. Sign in value, 207. Tasks, none. You are now filled with strength, each fist carrying 400 pounds of force, enough to easily overturn a bull. You see Chen Hao still sweating profusely, and you call out happily, second brother. Chen Hao stopped tattooing. Third brother, is something wrong? Second brother, he began. I feel like the breathing technique you taught me isn't very effective. So, I've made some modifications. Not very effective? You can't just randomly alter breathing techniques. Chen Hao said sternly. You could end up harming yourself. This is serious. He continued. Tell me about this new breathing method. It was a basic breathing technique he had improved based on the good fortune breathing technique. While it wasn't the full good fortune method, it was still several times stronger than the standard basic technique. Chen Hao tried breathing according to the method. He immediately discovered that his speed of absorbing spiritual energy had indeed increased significantly. Third brother, you're a genius. Chen Hao exclaimed, excitedly lifting him in a celebratory hug. From then on, Chen Hao used the new breathing technique. Half a month later, he successfully advanced to a 7th grade swordsman, achieving the breakthrough months ahead of the expected timeframe. Ha ha ha, I'm a 7th grade sword apprentice. Chen Hao was thrilled, practically bursting to share the news with everyone in the Chen family. Seeing his second brother so happy, also made the third brother happy. One day, the Chen family home became lively as the men of the family returned. The third brother and his mother arrived early at the ancestral home. Chen Tianan, the head of the Chen family, strode confidently into the main hall. It was thanks to him that the Chen family had established a firm foothold in Blackstone City, Grandpa. The third brother and Chen Hao called out in unison. Chen Tianan saw his two grandsons, his wrinkled face breaking into a wide smile. He ruffled your hair and then noticed the spiritual energy emanating from Chen Hao's outer robe. How? He asked with a smile. When did you break through? Chen Hao nodded with a grin. Grandpa, I just broke through yesterday. Hearing this, Chen Tianan's face was filled with joy. Good boy, he exclaimed. At this rate, your chances of entering the profound sword sect are very high. Chen Yan and Chen Wei entered. The young boy called out to them, his voice clear and bright. Chen Yan picked him up, playfully tweaking his nose. Son, he chuckled, your mother has been taking good care of you. You've gotten so plump and healthy. You've grown quite a bit during this time. He blinked his eyes. Tang Wan, meanwhile, was beaming. Chen Wei was also curious. What's all this excitement about? Xu Yan happily replied. Husband, your son just broke through to a 7th grade sword apprentice. What? 7th grade sword apprentice? Chen Wei exclaimed. Good job, kid. You're really something. He couldn't help but pat Chen Hao on the shoulder. Chen Tianan sat down in the head of the family's seat, his voice filled with joy. Chen Wei, go buy a bottle of body tempering pills for Chen Hao. If he can reach 8th grade sword apprentice before he turns 12, his entry into the profound sword sect will be a certainty. Xu Yan was visibly moved. Body tempering pills were 2nd grade spiritual medicines that aided in body tempering, with the first use being the most effective. They were typically used after breaking through to 7th grade sword apprentice. Chen Sheng spoke up, his expression serious. Father, is that really appropriate? Body tempering pills are expensive, equivalent to several months of our family's expenses. And you need resources for your own cultivation. Chen Tianan waved his hand dismissively. I'm not about to break through. These young ones are more deserving of cultivation. They are the future of the Chen family. Chen Wei and Chen Yan nodded in agreement. Ha ha ha. Chen Tianan laughed again. I'll be staying home for 2 days this time, he continued. I'll teach you a few moves. Chen Hao nodded eagerly, his excitement palpable. He was also looking forward to it. However, Chen Hao suddenly remembered something very important. His expression turned serious. Grandpa, he said, my early breakthrough is all thanks to third brother. He also improved the basic breathing technique. Chen Yan and the entire family were stunned. Everyone looked at the third brother in unison. Chen Hao explained the modified breathing technique to everyone. After contemplating it, Chen Tianan declared, remarkable. Chen Tianan had examined it. The new breathing technique was completely sound, and it far surpassed the old one. However, Chen Tianan immediately became serious. Remember, Chen Mu, he said, the matter of modifying the breathing technique must not be revealed to outsiders. Lest it attract trouble, he finished. Everyone nodded in agreement. The third brother possessed innate talent, but he was still young and needed their protection. Chen Tianan, in high spirits, boomed, Chen Hao, Chen Mu, come with Grandpa to the martial training grounds. Grandpa will teach you some real sword skills. Inside the training grounds, Chen Tianan held a longsword, with Chen Hao and the younger brother standing nearby. Their eyes were glued to their grandfather. A gust of powerful wind swept through, forcing the two brothers to involuntarily step back. This is the aura of a sword master. Chen Hao exclaimed excitedly. The third brother took 5 or 6 steps back before finding his footing. He watched as his grandfather began his swordplay. Green sword light surged, a manifestation of wood attributed spiritual energy. Little ones, watch closely, Chen Tianan cautioned. He brandished the longsword, the light enveloping the training grounds. Many fallen leaves littered the area, and now they danced along with his grandfather's sword, like swimming dragons. A roar accompanied them, the dragons roar 13 swords. As the fourth sword was executed, a green light shot towards the sky. The cluster of green leaves ascended like a green dragon, finally scattering in mid-air. Both the third brother and Chen Hao were dumbstruck. Chen Tianan sheathed his sword, a chuckle in his voice. How much did you comprehend? Chen Hao shook his head repeatedly. He hadn't understood anything. The younger brother, however, had memorized the sword moves. He asked, puzzled, Grandpa, the dragons roar 13 swords. Why did you only use 4 swords? That's a long story, Chen Tianan said, stroking his beard and smiling. This sword technique is something Grandpa obtained by chance in his youth. Although it's an incomplete manual, the power of these 4 swords is already no weaker than a low-grade spiritual level sword technique. Realization dawned. Sword techniques and weapons were categorized into mortal, spiritual, and saint levels, with each level further divided into low, medium, and high grades. The Chen family only possessed Chen Tianan's low-grade spiritual longsword. Everyone else used mortal-grade iron swords. Sword techniques were closely guarded secrets, and it was through this incomplete technique that Chen Tianan had risen, managing to carve out a place for the family in Blackstone City. On the training grounds, Chen Hao and the third brother started to practice the moves. Learning the forms wasn't difficult. The true challenge lay in unleashing the technique's power. He mimicked the moves impressively, his sword strikes carrying considerable force. Chen Tianan's eyes lit up. The more he looked, the more extraordinary he found it. Focusing intently, he suddenly gasped. Chen Tianan hurried forward, placing his aged hand on the boy's shoulder. Ha ha ha, truly a genius. Chen Tianan laughed heartily. He had detected that most of the meridians in the boy's body were already open, and his meridians were remarkably robust. A rare constitution. Chen Yan asked, puzzled, Father, what is it? Chen Tianan quickly calmed himself, his excitement not clouding his judgment. He said solemnly, it's nothing. Chen Wei, when you go to buy the body tempering pills, prepare a portion for Chen Yu as well. Chen Wei was taken aback. Father, he said respectfully, Chen Yu is only 3 years old. Can he withstand the body tempering pills? There could be side effects. Just do as I say, Chen Tianan said firmly. Chen Wei could only nod. You 2 brothers practice on your own for now, Chen Tianan said with a hearty laugh. He was hurrying to the ancestral shrine to give thanks to the ancestors for their blessings. That evening, in the main hall of the ancestral home, Chen Tianan instructed Chen Wei. Distribute the body tempering pills to the 2 brothers. Tell them to find a suitable time to consume them. Chen Wei, pained, handed the 2 body tempering pills to the third brother and Chen Hao. These pills represented a significant portion of the Chen family's income for over half a year, requiring them to undertake several arduous journeys to earn it back. Chen Tianan spoke in a deep voice. Xia, I hope this body tempering pill will help you break through to an 8th grade sword apprentice by the end of the year, so you can participate in the entrance examination at the Shen Sword Sect next spring. Chen Hao nodded heavily and replied with a simple smile, Grandpa, I will continue to work hard. Suyin and Chen Wei had smiles on their faces. Chen Hao, already a 7th grade sword apprentice, was considered excellent among the juniors of Blackstone City. If he reached 8th grade by year's end, he could properly enter the Xian sword sect. Chen Tianan then looked at Shenmu and couldn't help but laugh before saying seriously, Xiaomu should also work hard and not waste his talent. Shenmu blinked and said in a milky voice, "Okay, Grandpa." After the meal, Chen Tianan deliberately left Shenmu and Chen Yan behind, instructing them, "You two should also take care of Xiao. He is exceptionally gifted, a 6th grade sword apprentice at such a young age, with a great future ahead of him. In the future, when you're out on Biao, escorting goods, keep one person at home." Chen Yan was shocked. 6th grade sword apprentice? Dad, it can't be a 3-year-old 6th grade sword apprentice? They had only heard of such prodigies appearing in the first families of great clans and didn't believe it could happen in the Chen family. Chen Tianan looked serious, not wanting the matter leaked, which is why he only told Chen Yan and Chen Wei. Chen Wei, half convinced, proposed, "Father, since the younger sibling is pregnant, let the second one stay at home to take care of her." Chen Tianan nodded in agreement. Back in his courtyard, Chen Yan found Chenmu accompanying Tang Wan for a walk. He called Chenmu over, looked at him solemnly, and asked, "Mo, when did you start practicing?" "Last month, second brother taught me," Chenmu answered truthfully. Chen Yan stretched out his palm and said deeply, "Use all your strength to punch Dad." Chenmu blinked, and Chen Yan laughed, "Just hit hard. Don't worry, your father is a 7th grade swordmaster." Shenmu, unsure, did as he was told. Boom! Chen Yan's arms trembled, and he exclaimed, "Good boy. I deep hide." He didn't have Chen Tianan's strength, so he judged Chenmu's power this way. Chen Yan's face was full of surprise. Shenmu's power far exceeded that of others at the same cultivation level, even stronger than a 6th grade sword apprentice. Tang Wan, holding her large belly, smiled and asked, "What are you father and son playing?" Chen Yan picked up Chenmu and laughed, "Haha. Our son is a genius." Tang Wan, recalling the old man's expression, chuckled. Seeing his parents' smiling faces, Shenmu's heart followed suit. After walking with his parents, he returned to his room with the body tempering pill. The rich fragrance of the pill filled the air. In the system mall, a body tempering pill also cost 100 sign in values, highlighting its preciousness. Shenmu ingested the pill without hesitation. A hot warmth surged through his body, his flesh and blood boiling as if 1,000 needles were pricking him. He gritted his teeth and immediately operated the breath of creation method. The warmth flowed along his meridians, constantly flushing them open. Majestic spiritual chi surged into his limbs and bones, quenching his sinus and flesh. Only in the latter part of the night did the pill's effects wear off. The vast majority of his meridians were unblocked, his body was filled with aura, and his strength was several times greater than before. The system displayed. Host, Shenmu. Realm, 8th grade swordsman, perfection. Sign in value, 225. Mission, sign in to Silver City. Mission reward, 10,000 sign in values. Shenmu murmured, "It's been 3 years, and a new system mission has finally appeared. 1,000 sign in values could be exchanged for 10 body tempering pills or a set of spirit rank lower grade sword skills. Very generous rewards." Silver City was only 100 miles from Blackstone City, one rich in black stone, the other in silver mines. Silver City was even wealthier. Running to Silver City alone, my parents will definitely be worried. "It's better to wait for a later opportunity," Shenmu muttered. He picked up the wooden sword beside his bed. The spiritual chi in his body attached to the sword, making the originally lightweight weapon feel heavy and hard, its strength no weaker than an iron sword. Unable to sleep, and not wanting to disturb his parents by practicing in the courtyard, he went to the martial arts arena, repeating the 13 swords of Dragon's Breath. As dawn approached, a dragon's roar awakened the Chen clan. Chen Wei, still in bed, muttered, "Is that the sound of a dragon's roar? Could the old master's sword skills have improved?" Shen En also thought it was the old man. The dragon bellowing sword technique only produced a dragon's roar when it reached great success, something the old master had told them. Chen Yan had only achieved a sword sound after many years of practice, and the old man could barely perform the sound of a tiger's roar. They believed Chen Tianan's sword art had improved. "Father said he has reached his limit, so I see that there is still a chance for a marquis," Chen Yan muttered. If a strong person of the sword cultivation realm appeared in the Chen clan, they could squeeze into the ranks of the magnificent clan. In all of Blackstone City, only Mu Donglu of the City Lord's mansion was a sword candidate powerhouse, demonstrating the value of such a candidate. Deep within the ancestral mansion, Chen Tianan awoke with a jolt. He rushed to the martial arts arena, where Shenmu was looking at the wooden sword in his hand, unsure why it had just made a dragon's roar. The heavenly favor Chen family. Chen Tianan's hands trembled. It was indeed Shenmu practicing. Grandpa, Shenmu shouted. Chen Tianan's eyes were moist with excitement. He checked Shenmu's body, his pupils shrinking violently as he realized the aura in Shenmu's body was several times stronger than yesterday, surpassing even Chen Hao, who had been cultivating for years. Xiao, have you taken the body tempering pill? Chen Tianan inquired. Yes, Grandpa. After taking it, I was energized and couldn't sleep, so I came here to practice, Shenmu answered truthfully. The joy on Chen Tianan's face overflowed. Shenmu was already an 8th grade sword apprentice at the age of 3, even more heaven-defying than the prides of the King City. Most importantly, his enlightenment was astonishing. Overnight, he had cultivated the 13 swords of Dragon's Breath to the realm of pure fire, something Chen Tianan hadn't mastered even after decades. Little Mu, in the future, Grandpa will help you by getting more elixirs. Chen Tianan patted Shenmu's shoulder. His future was destined to be brilliant, the Chen family would rise because of him. Shenmu blinked dully. Chen Tianan, having been through thick and thin, knew the truth that if the wood shows in the forest, the wind will destroy it. Little Mu, in the future, don't easily show your excessive talent in front of people. Okay, Grandpa, Shenmu obediently nodded. Chen Tianan, looking at the wooden sword, said solemnly, Grandpa will get you a good sword. Thank you, Grandpa, but the sword Big Sister gave me is very good, Shenmu politely refused. It was a gift from his sister, and he had no intention of replacing it. Chen Tianan, amused, smiled amiably and said, You didn't rest last night, so go back to your room and rest. Grandpa, I want to eat something before resting. Shenmu felt a little hungry. Chen Tianan laughed out loud. It just so happens that Grandpa is free today, so he'll take you to the city for a good meal. They went to Drunken Fragrance House, one of the few restaurants in Black Rock City. Shenmu and his grandfather ate beef noodles. The Chen family wasn't affluent, so instead of ordering a mountain of delicacies, Chen Tianan treated his grandson to the best-tasting beef noodles. It smells really good. Shenmu held the porcelain bowl bigger than his face and drank all the soup. He ate 5 bowls in a row, shocking the store assistant with his incredible appetite. Chen Tianan asked, smiling, Xiao, are you full? Do you want another bowl? Full. Shenmu wiped his mouth. The smile in Chen Tianan's eyes grew thicker. It was still early, so Chen Tianan proposed, Xiao, do you want to go to the Shanfo Dark Bureau? Yeah. Shenmu had never been there and wanted to see what it looked like. Grandparents and grandchildren walked on the street. Chen Tianan occasionally meeting old acquaintances and introducing his grandson with pride. The Shannon Dark Bureau was located in the west corner of town. At the front hall counter, a middle-aged woman named Antla was on duty. Chen Tianan greeted her, then introduced Shenmu. Antla, seeing Shenmu's appearance, couldn't help but want to kiss him, but Shenmu shook his head repeatedly. La joked, this little guy is still afraid of being born. Aunt Li won't eat children. Shenmu scratched his head awkwardly. Passing through the front hall, they came to the backyard where goods were piled up, workers were carrying goods, and a bald, strong man named Zhang Shan was counting them. Chen Tianan pointed at Zhang Shan and said, That's your Uncle Zhang, a 6th grade swordmaster. He escorts darts all year round. Zhang Shan turned to Shenmu, showing off his muscles enthusiastically. Dart leader, this is your little grandson, isn't it? He's so handsome. Chen Tianan nodded with a smile, then asked, Zhang Shan, how many goods are there this time? Zhang Shan shook his head and laughed bitterly, only 3.5 carts. Silver City is not far away, so I won't be able to make a few dollars this trip. Silver City? Shenmu's eyes lit up. Isn't that where this mission is? Lord Luang often takes care of our business and is considered an old friend. This trip must be delivered on time. We will leave tomorrow, Chen Tian'an commanded. Zhang Shan nodded. No problem, Dark Master. I'll load the goods now and set off in the morning, aiming to complete the mission in 3 days. Shenmu looked at his grandfather and said in a milky voice, Grandpa, I also want to go to Silver City. Chen Tian'an froze for a moment. Zhang Shan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and said seriously, ha ha ha, darting is no fun. I remember that kid Chen Hao, who insisted on following us, ended up crying halfway through, wanting to go home to his mother. I had to send him back. Grandpa, I won't cause any trouble. I want to see the world outside of Blackstone City, Shenmu said seriously. Chen Tian'an had always loved his grandchildren. He thought for a while, then spoiled him by saying, all right, Grandpa will take you. Zhang Shan couldn't help but shake his head, muttering, looks like there's going to be fun again this time, thinking Shenmu would cry halfway through. After returning to the Chen family, Shenmu rested in his room. Chen Tian'an found Chen Yan and told him about bringing Shenmu. Father, you guys should leave early tomorrow while Shamu is still sleeping, Chen Yan proposed, uneasy and afraid Shenmu would cause trouble. Chen Tian'an solemnly said, being honest, since I promised Xiao, I won't go back on my promise. I can't let a junior down. Tomorrow, Chen Wei and I will escort the dart. You stay home to take care of Wanner. She's pregnant. Don't worry, Xiao, we'll take care of her. Chen Tian'an arranged everything. As head of the family, Chen Yan had no problem with it. Shenmu took a nap, and after he was refreshed, he went to the martial arts field to practice his sword. Chen Hao had pretty much forgotten the sword techniques his grandfather had taught him yesterday and was frowning. Third brother, you've come at the right time. How much of the sword technique Grandpa taught yesterday do you still remember? Remember it all. Ergo, I'll teach you. Thanks, third brother. On the martial arts arena, Shenmu began to teach Chen Hao the 13 swords of Dragon's Breath. Under Shenmu's careful teaching, Chen Hao gradually mastered it in just half a month. Chen Hao changed from a master to an apprentice, and he didn't care. They were all brothers, there was no precedence in learning, and the one who reached the top was the master. Chen Hao hadn't taken the body tempering pill yet, planning to cultivate a while longer before using it for a direct breakthrough. That night, everyone ate at the ancestral home. Chen Tian'an smiled and asked, Xiao is going to follow us to bed on the dart. Do you want to tag along for a few days, Howard? Grandpa, you guys go ahead. I'm going to try to break through before the end of the year, Chen Hao replied, still focused on his cultivation. Shen Wei and Su Yan nodded in relief. Shen Yan reminded, Xiao, father has to take care of your mother at home. You have to listen to grandpa and uncle outside. Don't run around, do you know? Shenmu nodded heavily. Tang Wan had some worries, but the old man had already agreed, so she could only swallow her words. After eating, Shenmu accompanied his mother for a walk, Tang Wan repeatedly urging him to be safe. Mother, don't worry, little Mu will be obedient, Shenmu said seriously. After the walk, Shenmu returned to his room. He was ready to exchange his own law for defense. The remaining signing value wasn't much, only enough for a spirit rank lower grade body technique. Shenmu had his eye on the spirit rank lower grade blistering shadow steps, which had no attacking power but were as light as a ghost, good for escaping and sneak attacks. Successful exchange of shadow steps, consuming 200 sign in values. By mastering the blinding shadow steps, Shenmu would have the ability to defend himself if he encountered danger. He wasn't worried, though, with Grandpa around. Meanwhile, in the southern wasteland, at the Ling Yun sect, on the snowy summit of a 10,000-year-old icy peak, a silhouette stood alone amidst the clouds and mist. Zhang Fuyan gazed at the north, her immortal face overwhelming, her eyes dripping with starlight. Fei Yan, Master has a task for you. Zhang Fuyan turned back and said in a clear voice. The purple-skirted woman, Zhao Yan, half knelt not far away and said respectfully, Master, what kind of mission requires me to personally go down the mountain? Zhang Fuyan's lotus steps moved lightly as she appeared before Zhao Yan and said clearly, "Master wants you to go down the mountain to protect someone." "Who is it?" Zhao Yan's eyes widened. She was Zhang Fuyan's only disciple, one of the 10 great celestial prides of the desolate state, and was even known as the young patriarch with the possibility of taking over the Ling Yun sect in the future. Zhao Yan looked surprised. This kind of small matter usually required a clanwalker or deacon, unless that person was very important to the master. Zhang Fuyan said clearly, "Northern Wasteland, Blackstone City, Chenmu. He is gifted and still young. You first shelter him in Blackstone City for 3 years and then bring him to Lingyun sect to cultivate after he turns 7. Don't worry, master. Yan'er promises to complete the task." Zhao Yan was still a bit resistant. After all, the Northern Wasteland was a desolate place. But because it was her master's mission, she didn't reject it. To be able to make the master look at it, I guess it's not simple. So I hope it won't be a waste of my time, Zhao Yan muttered in her heart, then rose up into the air and disappeared into the clouds. Stepping through the air was the mark of a strong sword king. Early morning, Chenmu woke up early. He washed up and changed into clean brown cloth clothes. His small face was fair and shiny, his eyes clear and bright, and a wooden sword hung on his waist. Chen Tianan brought Chenmu to the dartboard. There were 4 carriages loaded with goods and surrounded by 8 steeds. Chen Tianan carried Chenmu onto the cargo, and the caravan departed. Grandpa walked at the front, eldest uncle Chen Wei followed behind, and 6 sword masters surrounded the caravan. A few hours later, they left the boundaries of Blackstone City. The red sun was high, and the weather was hot. Bald Zhongshan rode close, taking out a straw hat and placing it on Chenmu's head. "Thank you, Uncle Zhang." Chenmu smiled brightly. Zhongshan joked, "There are many insects, snakes, and beasts on this road. Are you afraid?" "With Grandpa and Uncle Zhang around, I'm not afraid," Chenmu spoke clearly, with a calm demeanor. Zhongshan was impressed. Chen Wei said in a deep voice, "What's scary on this road is not the bugs, snakes, and beasts, but the mountain bandits and rogues. Those guys are even harder to deal with than the beasts." As evening approached, the caravan camped in the woods. People prepared food before sunset, after which they had to extinguish their fires to avoid attracting wild animals, leaving them to eat whatever they wanted in the wilderness. Due to the cargo, the caravan moved slowly and wouldn't arrive at Silver City until tomorrow. Chen Tianan smiled and asked, "Little Mew, still getting used to it?" Chenmu nodded and said crisply, "Grandpa, it's so hard for you guys to escort darts." The crowd laughed. After laughing, Zhongshan lamented, "It's all about earning some hard money. It's not easy." The dartboard crowd was often drenched in sweat, and it was a very hard job to run so far under the hot sun. Chenmu knew this wasn't far. His grandfather often delivered to the royal capital, even farther, with trips lasting 10 days to half a month. Everyone took turns resting on duty. "Mew, you go to sleep first." Chenmu nodded. He slept quickly. Zhongshan smiled and said, "This child is not simple. I thought he would cry for his mother at night. He's not afraid of strange situations at all, growing up with unusual guts." The crowd was talking and laughing. Early morning, the mists hadn't yet lifted. The caravan set off again, and Chenmu sat on the cargo, looking forward to arriving at Silver City sooner. Near noon, the convoy came to a sudden stop. Chenmu smelled a special odor. Chen Tianan shouted, "Don't panic." Not far away, a group of mountain bandits scurried out from the woods, more than 20 people, kicking up smoke and dust and making a great noise. Chen Tianan and the others were standing by. Chenmu frowned, not expecting to run into the toughest mountain bandits on his first escort trip. The opposite side was led by 2 sword sectors. The older one, a strong man, was a 3rd-grade sword sector carrying a broadsword, with an arrogant appearance. Beside him was Scarface, a 2nd-grade sword sector with a bad smile. Zhongshan said in a deep voice, "It's the Black Wind twins. I heard that Black Wind Ridge was exterminated by the Imperial Court. I didn't expect the Black Wind bandits would flee here." Chen Wei looked grave. These weren't ordinary thieves, but the infamous Black Wind bandits of Henho. Shenmue kept his cool. There were 2 sword sectors on the opposite side, but they were only 3rd grade and 2nd grade. The 2 of them joining forces could at best stall Grandpa. The rest of the thieves didn't pose much of a threat, and Uncle Zhang and the others could handle them. But the other side had a lot of people, so it would likely be a vicious battle. Chen Tianan arched his hand and said, "So it's the Black Wind twin heroes. I've long heard of you two. I'm Chen Tianan from the Shenhuo Dark Bureau. Please make it easy for me. Don't bother getting close to Grandpa. You either leave the goods behind or leave your lives behind," the one-eyed strongman said coldly. Chen Tianan's face turned blue. He pulled out a money bag and threw it to the one-eyed strongman, then smiled apologetically. "Small business, please make it easy for the 2 heroes. Buy the road money, it's a rule of filial piety for mountain bandits." The one-eyed man glanced at the gold and silver in the bag and said teasingly, "Today, counting on your good sense, I will let you guys off the hook." The mountain bandits galloped away. Chen Wei and the others were particularly upset. Zhang Shan was puzzled. "Dark Master, do it with them. What are you doing spoiling them? If we really fight, the brothers won't wimp out." Chen Tianan shook his head, sighing lightly. "Xiao is still in the car. If we really have to fight, I'm afraid that he'll get hurt. So it's better to do more than less. Don't worry, you won't lose a penny of your wages, and I'll take the loss this time." "Dark Master." No one said anything. After all, they all needed to make money to support their families. Shenmue clenched his fists. This group of mountain thieves made him realize this was a world of the weak and the strong, and it seemed he had to be strong. Chen Wei sighed, "I'm afraid this group of mountain thieves will come back to trouble us in the future. If there's a next time, I'll definitely tell them to have no return," Chen Tianan said angrily. Zhang Shan saw Shenmue clenching his fists, his eyes looking straight at the distant woods, and asked with a smile, "Kid, scared silly?" Shenmue shook his head. This time, he was the one who made his grandfather lose a lot of money. Instead of making a profit, he lost out. He'd have to find a way to make it up to Grandpa later. In the afternoon, the convoy arrived at the Liu family villa. To Shenmue's surprise, the Liu family villa was not in Silver City, but rather on the outskirts near Silver City, where he was unable to sign in. Roadhouse, the far-famed cast sword villa. "Bodyguard Chen, I really have to thank you again for delivering the goods ahead of time. Today, I will host a banquet in the manor to treat you all. Please, come inside." Lord Luang personally went out to greet him, an old man with white hair and a white robe. "It's all due," Chen Tianan said with a smile, his face full of smiles, hiding the gloom of being robbed. It was his responsibility if something happened to the goods, and it was impossible to let his employer bear that loss. Lord Luang was a far-famed swordmaker who had forged spirit swords and was quite prestigious in the Jianghu. He saw Shenmue, a petite figure with a wooden sword hanging from his waist and a straw hat. "Chen Dart Leader, is this your grandson?" Chen Tianan smiled and replied, "That's right, this is my youngest grandson, called Shenmue." Lord Luang gave a thumbs up. "This child has an extraordinary temperament. He will definitely be a dragon and phoenix among men in the future." "Haha," Chen Tianan smiled at his words, knowing it was flattery. Entering the lodge, a young girl with a single ponytail ran over, with bright big eyes and a small, delicate face, wearing a brocade green dress. "Grandpa," the young girl cried out. Lord Luang smiled and introduced, "Bodyguard Chen, this is my granddaughter, Liu Shasha." "Bodyguard Chen, hee." Liu Shasha spat out her tongue, looking quirky. Lord Luang said with a smile, "Shasha, this is Chen Dad's grandson, Shenmue. Take your little brother to the manor to take a stroll." "Yeah," Liu Shasha nodded. Shenmue was very cute, his little face white like a porcelain doll. She couldn't wait to kiss it twice. Liu Shasha pulled Shenmue's hand and said delicately, "Little brother, I'll take you to play." Liu Shasha wanted to yank Shenmue away, yet she failed to do so, even though she was 9 years old and already a 6th-grade sword apprentice. This was the Liu family village. It was very safe. Chen Tianan laughed softly, "Xiao, just go play with Miss Sister, but listen to what Sister says." "Aha," Chen-mu nodded. Only then did Lu Shasha pull Chen-mu away. The Lu family villa was a large area, and Lu Shasha took him to visit the sword furnace and the sword washing pool, but Chen-mu wasn't interested. Brother Chen-mu, do you want to eat candy? Sister Shasha will give you candy, Lu Shasha said delicately. While other children loved candy, Chen-mu shook his head. No, thanks. Sister Shasha will take you into the city to play. There are a lot of fun things to do in the city, Lu Shasha said. Chen-mu thought about it and shook his head again. Running quietly to Silver City, Grandpa would definitely be worried. Lu Shasha laughed. Don't worry, Silver City is very close to the Lu family village. Let's walk faster, and we can go back and forth in at most half an hour. That's not far. Chen-mu still wanted to go to Silver City. After all, it was only there that he could sign in. Go. 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 Grandpa and the others are going to talk for half a day anyway. Sister Shasha will take you into the city to have fun. Lu Shasha led Chen-mu away from the Lu family villa. The mountain trail winds its way through the mountains. You can get to Silver City faster by taking the back roads. Lu Shasha held Chen-mu's small hand and said delicately, Brother Chen-mu, are you tired? Do you want your sister to carry you? Chen-mu shook his head slightly and said softly, I'm not tired, thank you, Sister Lu. There's also a monkey show in the city later on. Sister will take you to watch the monkey show and buy you cakes to eat, Lu Shasha said delicately. The smell of blood permeated the mountains. Chen-mu's perception was different from normal people. He couldn't help but frown and said in a deep voice, Sister Lu, are there any wild beasts inside the mountain? Lu Shasha laughed. My grandfather sprinkled the blood of foreign beasts nearby. Wild beasts don't dare to come close to this place, and there's no need to be afraid since my sister is here. The foreign beast blood was the blood of the northern Norn demonic beasts, and unusual beasts would flee when they smelled it. Chen-mu always felt something was wrong. This smell of blood was getting closer and closer. There was definitely something wrong. FWFW, the sound of muffled breathing came. A giant grayback wolf appeared on the mountain road. It was stout, more than 2 meters tall, with a mouth full of fangs, scarlet eyes, and hot air coming out of its mouth. Ah! Screams rang out. Lu Shasha looked horrified. She had never seen such a terrifying beast since she was a child. The grayback giant wolf slowly walked towards the two, and it was only then that Chen-mu noticed that it had an injury. The wolf had a limp in its left front foot, making it a lame wolf. Sister Lu, run! Chen-mu remained conscious, shouting to wake up Lu Shasha, who turned and ran. However, the grayback giant wolf didn't chase after Lu Shasha because Chen-mu was still standing in the same spot. Chen-mu didn't run away. Even though it was a lame wolf, he was sure that if both of them ran, the grayback giant wolf would definitely be able to catch up. He drew the wooden sword at his waist and gripped the hilt with both hands in a welcoming stance. The wooden sword became heavy in Chen-mu's hand. His eyes were firm, and he didn't have the slightest intention of backing down. In the mountain forest, the breeze whipped by, bringing with it the strong smell of blood. The hair on Chen-mu's temples was blown up by the wind, but his wooden sword did not move at all. The grayback giant wolf stood not far away, staring at Chen-mu. They were in a standoff. As long as Chen-mu revealed his timidity, the giant wolf would pounce. Chen-mu gazed at the grayback giant wolf's limp leg, pondering how to win. That was the giant wolf's weakness. He still had a chance. He calculated how to strike. The grayback giant wolf's eyes were tinged with scorn as it slowly backed up and then disappeared into the mountains and forests. That giant wolf had spirituality and was not just a beast that only knew how to hunt. It sensed the danger. Chen-mu took a long breath. His back was soaked. He had confronted the giant wolf, the first time in his life he was in danger. Roadhouse. Grandpa, there's a wolf. Lu Shasha ran back crying. Lord Lu Manor said in a deep voice, Shasha, how could there be wolves in Lu Manor? Lu Shasha anxiously said, I was going to take Chen-mu's younger brother to Silver City to play, but I encountered a big gray wolf in the mountains, and that big gray wolf was over 2 meters tall. At these words, Chen Tianan stood up violently. The surrounding dark-board crowd was shocked. Where's Mew? Mew is still in the mountains. Lu Shasha said with a sobbing voice. She was too scared, so she ran back to the village alone to find help. Without a word, Chen Tianan directly rushed out of the Lu family villa. Lord Luang also hurriedly commanded, "A few of you, hurry up and go with me to help." Lord Luang led the guards out of the manor. Bad. Chen Wei's face turned blue. If something happened to Xiao, he wouldn't even have the face to go back to see Chen Yan and his wife. Chen Tianan's eyes were even more red. Chen Tianan and Lord Luang had the highest cultivation. They walked at the front. Xiao, you can't be all right, right? It's all Grandpa's fault. In the mountains, Shenmu ate wild fruits and walked back. He sensed his grandfather's aura and hurriedly looked up, only to see Chen Tianan prancing through the woods. Chen Tianan's eyes glistened with tears when he saw that Shenmu was unharmed. Xiao, my good grandson, it's good that you're fine. You almost scared Grandpa to death. Grandpa, Shenmu scratched his head. He was a little embarrassed, having troubled everyone again. Chen Tianan hugged Shenmu and examined him. His clothes are soaked. He's scared, isn't he? Shenmu nodded. It's okay, not next time. Chen Tianan didn't reprimand him. The immediately following Lord Luang said curiously, "Where is the big grey wolf that Shasha was talking about?" Shenmu replied truthfully, "Gone." Lord Luan was surprised and said, "Gone? This kid is lucky. A great disaster will bring good fortune." Lu Shasha rushed over, and when she saw that Shenmu was unharmed, she hugged him and cried, "I'm sorry. Sister won't leave you behind in the future." That's okay. Shenmu didn't care. After all, Lu Shasha was still just a child. The few of you, go and search for that wolf's trail. No wild beasts are allowed in the vicinity of the Road family manor, Lord Lu Manor commanded. The guards scattered into the woods. Lord Luang cupped his fists at Chen Tianan and said in shame, "Bodyguard Chen, I'm sorry that my granddaughter has caused you so much trouble." Shenmu stepped forward to apologize and said in a milky voice, "Grandpa Lu, it's all my fault. I was the one who wanted to go to Silver City with Sister Lu to play. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have left Xiao behind." Lu Shasha cried, feeling especially useless when she thought about her actions. "It's good that it's fine. You guys have to remember the lesson from this time," Chen Tianan reminded. Lu Shasha and Shenmu nodded heavily. The crowd returned to the roadhouse. After dinner, the people of the Shenong Dart Bureau departed to return to Blackstone City. Lu Shasha escorted them to the outside of the manor and said in a delicate voice, "Brother Chenmu, come back again in the future. Sister will take you to Silver City next time." Chenmu nodded at her. In the manor, Lord Luan was sitting in the lobby when a guard returned to report the news of the giant wolf incident. The middle-aged guard respectfully said, "Lord Zhang, we didn't find the wolf, but we found traces of a giant wolf's activities. Extrapolating from that trail, it should be a three-legged lone wolf with an unusually large build. We also found several skeletons with signs of the swordmaster's gnawing." Lord Luan's expression was grave as he said, "The wolf that left the pack. Could it be the demonic wolf from the north?" Wolves were pack animals and rarely strayed. Looking at that size, it should be the northern demon wolf, a species that swordmasters had a headache with. Even an injured demon wolf was not something an ordinary swordmaster could handle. Lord Luan couldn't help but sigh with emotion. It's a great fate for Shasha and Shamu to have survived the demonic wolves. Their lives shouldn't have been ruined. The appearance of demonic wolves within the northern wasteland, could it be an omen of the coming demon tide? Lord Luan pondered. Are there any traces of a fight at the location where Shasha encountered the demonic wolf? Lord Luang suddenly asked. He suddenly had an unreasonable guess. The middle-aged guard shook his head and said, reporting to Lord Zhang, "There are no traces of fighting in the vicinity." Looks like I was overthinking it. Lord Luang smiled and shook his head. That was only a 3-year-old. Chenmu sat in the empty van as Chen Tianan rode closer, and he said in a deep voice, "Shamu, tell Grandpa, how exactly did that wolf get away?" Shenmu and Zhang Shan and the others were also curious. Shenmu answered truthfully, "At that time, I saw the giant wolf approaching and told Sister Lu to run, but I didn't." Why didn't you run? Zhang Shan was filled with a puzzled expression. Shenmu said in a serious manner, because Sister Lu definitely can't outrun me. Haha. The crowd was amused by his answer. Chen Wei was curious, and then what? Shenmu continued, the narrow path is won by the brave, so instead of fleeing, I drew the wooden sword at my waist and confronted it, and then the giant wolf left. A good, narrow road is won by the brave. Chen Tianan felt his blood boiling as he listened. This grandson of his had such courage at a young age, he would definitely be a great hero when he grew up. Heroes come out of youths. My nephew has the stature of a sword saint. Ha ha ha. Chen Wei was filled with admiration. Zhang Shan gave him a thumbs up. Good boy. If you wimped out at that time, it would have been dangerous. Uncle Zhang underestimated you before. The crowd was impressed. Chenmu said with a puzzled expression, Grandpa, this isn't the way back to Blackstone City, is it? Chen Tianan smiled and nodded. Fulfill your wish. Let's go to Silver City and take a stroll. Thank you, Grandpa, Chenmu said happily. This time out, he had added a lot of trouble to everyone and hadn't even planned to go back to Silver City. Chen Tianan knew that Chenmu had Silver City on his mind, so he had the convoy reroute to Silver City, which wasn't very far anyway. Silver City. This city was much larger than Blackstone City, with wide streets and a bustling scene, with an endless stream of pedestrians on the road and a wide array of commodities along the streets. Successfully signed to Silver City. Gain 10,000 sign-in values. Chenmu successfully completed the mission, but the new sign-in point wasn't immediately updated. Xiao, do you want to buy something? Chen Tianan said amiably. Shenmu shook his head and said, I thought Silver City was built of silver, but it turns out that it's just bigger houses and wider streets, and there's not much to enjoy. They strolled around the city and returned directly to Blackstone City, taking nearly 2 days to come and only half a day to go back. They returned to the Chen family that night. This time, the dart loss was not small, and Chenmu had almost been in a road accident. Back home, Chen Wei proposed, Dad, in the future, when escorting darts, don't let the juniors follow. Our family has to set a rule. Good. Chen Tianan nodded in agreement. Although it was a false alarm, Chen Tianan still told Chen Yan about it, and the latter was worried for a while and would not let Shenmu follow next time. After returning to the Chen clan, Shenmu resumed his previous life and would go to the martial arts arena every day to practice his sword. Half a month later. Host, Shenmu. Realm. Late 9th grade sword apprentice. Sign-in value. 820. Mission. Sign the Shenao tablet. Mission reward. Transcendent body hardening pill. Shenmu had utilized his sign-in value to exchange for spirit stones to cultivate these days, so his realm had risen relatively quickly. The transcendent body hardening pill was an enhanced version of the body quenching pill, and its effect far exceeded that of an unusual body quenching pill, perfectly quenching the body. The Shenao monument in Blackstone City could measure root bones, and every year a large number of juniors went there to do so. And the other day, Grandpa had asked his father to enroll him in a couple of days. I'll be able to measure my root bones, and I don't know if this root bone of mine is awesome, Chenmu thought to himself. Since it was a hegemonic sword body, the root bone shouldn't be bad. Chenmu washed up and then came to the lobby to eat. Recently, both parents were at home. The house was lively. After eating, Shenmu would accompany Tang Wan for a walk for a while, then go to the martial arts field to practice sword. Chen Hao, the second brother, had recently increased his strength dramatically. His sword skills were getting better and better under Chenmu's guidance, and he was preparing to take the body tempering pill to make a breakthrough. Third brother, you're going to have your roots measured the day after tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. Chen Hao smiled nervously. He had always thought that Chenmu was a genius. Here's the provided text translated and formatted as a cohesive English paragraph. He thought to himself that the third brother was gifted, and if his roots and bones were extraordinary, his future would be immeasurable. Shenmu said seriously, second brother, while root bones and talent are important, the most important thing is perseverance and hard work. Chen Hao laughed nervously. That's true. It made sense to him that Chenmu had started cultivating hard at the age of 3. And even if his roots were not good, he would still be able to catch up with the vast majority of celestial prodigies. 2 days later, at the Black Rock City Roots and Bones Conference, the Shenhao tablet stood on a high platform. The area around the square had long been crowded. Chenmu followed his father, Chen Yan, to the vicinity of the Shenhao monument, but he didn't trigger the quest. Could it be that we have to touch the stone monument? Chen Hao also ran to join in the fun. Tang Wan was pregnant and inconvenient to travel, and her grandfather and eldest uncle were out escorting darts. Otherwise, they would have definitely come to see Chenmu measure his roots and bones. A boy of about 5 years old walked to the Shenhao monument and put his hand on the stone tablet. The Shenhao monument emitted a faint yellow light. The stone tablet as a whole had 9 engraved marks, and the light went straight to the 5th engraved mark. The middle-aged man beside the stone monument nodded his head slightly and laughed softly. Well, not bad, 5th grade root bone. The Wang family laughed with satisfaction. The onlookers made envious noises. Roots and bones are also divided into 9 classes. Eldest sister Chen Shi was a 3rd grade root bone, and second brother Chen Hao had barely reached a 4th grade root bone. A 5th grade root bone would be considered excellent in Blackstone City. If it was a 6th grade root bone, a little bit of hard work would be able to enter the sect, and if it was a 7th grade root bone, it would be a sure thing to enter the sect. There were constantly juniors coming up to the stage to measure their root bones. The highest was the 5th grade root bone, and most juniors were below the 3rd grade root bone. The occasional appearance of a junior with a 6th grade root bone could cause the entire room to be shocked. Chen Mu. After being read the name, Chen Mu calmly walked out of the crowd. Chen Yan didn't care much about it. He felt that the strength of the root bone was all innate. What really determined the future was the acquired efforts. Chen Tianan had said that he felt that Chen Mu's root bone was at least 5th grade. Chen Hao looked at Chen Mu with anticipation. The middle-aged man slightly side-eyed. He could see that Chen Mu was different from the other children. There was no timidity in Chen Mu's eyes, and he walked up to the high platform with a calm demeanor. Shen Mu placed his small hand on the Shenhao tablet. Successful signing of the Shenhao tablet, obtaining the extraordinary body-hardening pill. Shen Mu felt an additional elixir in his arms. As he withdrew his small hand and gazed at the Shenhao stele in front of him, a dense yellow light rushed up. Near the Shenhao monument, the people of Blackstone City's jaws dropped as the dazzling yellow light continued to rise, reaching directly to the top of the monument. The middle-aged man looked shocked and said excitedly, "This is an extremely excellent root bone." Chen Yan was ecstatic as he rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The Chen family has produced a dragon. 9th grade root bone. My goodness, could it be that a Sword Emperor powerhouse is going to appear in our Blackstone City as well? This is an excellent root bone. The future is full of infinite possibilities. It's one of the few in the northern wasteland. It might be able to become a sword saint, admired by millions of people. Chenmu. Test it again. The middle-aged man regained his composure and thought it was a problem with the stone tablet. After the yellow light dissipated, Shenmu once again placed his hand on the stone tablet, and there was still dazzling yellow light. That's right, it's really an extreme root bone. The entire Blackstone City was shaken. In the crowd, Chen Hao said with a simple smile, "I've known for a long time that third brother is a genius." Chen Yan's hands were trembling, he was too excited to speak. His eyes gradually moistened. "Warner, our Mu will definitely have a future. I knew Chen Mu was gifted the day Chen Tianan brought him to Drunken Fragrance House for noodles. The kid ate 5 bowls of beef noodles in a row. I've also known this for a long time. 3 years ago, when Chen Mu was born, 10,000 swords roared. Asterisk 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 asterisk. I almost forgot if you didn't say it. No wonder there was a vision back then." The onlookers were talking. Shenmu retreated back into the crowd. Everyone took the initiative to make way. Everyone was watching him. He would be the pride of Blackstone City. The brocade-clothed old man found Chen Yan. He smiled and spoke. "Chen Yan, my granddaughter is 6 years old this year. As the saying goes, a woman's eldest holds a golden brick. Why don't we let them engage in a baby marriage? The old man who spoke was Xiao Qingfeng of Blackstone City, one of the three great families of Blackstone City, the Xiao family, and even a seventh-grade sword sect. Chen Yan hurriedly arched his hand. Elder Xiao, I can't make the call on this matter. It's still up to my family's old man. I'm really sorry. Xiao Qingfeng laughed out loud and said, that's good. When bodyguard Chen returns, I'll personally come to the door to propose marriage. I also want to go to the door to propose marriage. Only the red-robed old man with a head full of white hair shouted. Xiao Qingfeng didn't have the good sense to say, Tang Huan, you don't have a granddaughter, what are you getting together for? Tang Huan seriously said, I don't have a granddaughter, but I have a daughter. My daughter is 18 this year, and she is also as beautiful as the flower. The original root bone conference instantly turned into a matchmaking conference. Chen Yan arched his hand at the seniors and hurriedly pulled Shenmu back to the Chen clan. Even when they returned to the Chen clan, there was still a steady stream of people paying visits to their doors. Shenmu was a submerged dragon, and the Chen clan was bound to be unattainable in the future, so everyone wanted to climb into a relationship with the Chen clan now. There are also those who understand in their hearts, knowing that their granddaughters are not worthy of Chenmu, so they look for Suyin to discuss, wanting to betroth their granddaughters to Chen Hao so that they can also be related to the Chen family. One time, Chen's family is in a state of flux. Even the city lord came to the Chen family to congratulate them. Chenmu could only hide in his room, which in turn caused Chen Yan quite a headache. And Tang Wan was also beaming when she learned that Chenmu was a 9th-grade root bone. Tang Wan knew that this was a good thing, and at the same time, it would bring a lot of trouble. The engagement was important, and Tang Wan admonished, you can't just agree to this kind of thing. The couple thought about the marriage contract back then. They used to think that it was impossible, but now they thought that with Chenmu's talent, he might be able to match up with Zhang Fuxian. However, both husband and wife are people who understand that Chenmu is at best a young dragon, while Zhang Fuxian is already a true phoenix that dominates the sky. If he could really match Zhang Fuxian, Chenmu still had a long way to go. It wasn't until the night that the Chen family subsided. Sister-in-law Suyin also came to thank Shen En. Her family received several copies of birth date and 8-character posters in which there are a number of girls with good status and appearance. Late at night, Chen Yan and Tang Wan were lying on the bed. The two were still discussing that incident back then. Husband, do you think that marriage contract back then was arranged by Zhang Fuxian? I used to think it was impossible, but now I think it could be true. Moore is so gifted that I'm afraid she's not being used as a child husband. Tang Wan smiled with open brows. If she really wants to become the Chen family's daughter-in-law, I can accept that. Chen Yan couldn't help but laugh. Ma'am, do you have the guts to refuse? Nasty, what a great thing to say. Tang Wan lightly whacked Shen En beside her. In the next room, Chenmu sat cross-legged on the bed as he took out the transcendent body-tempering pill from his arms. This pill was different from the body-tempering pill he had taken before. It had a Dan pattern on it. He didn't play with it too much and took it directly. Pounds of energy surged into all the limbs and bones. Shenmu's expression was tense. His body was like a knife twisting, and black smoke continued to emerge from his body. 2 hours later, the meridians in the body were all opened. The aura eventually converged in the dantian, forming clear spring water, which was liquefied aura. After Chenmu took the transcendent body tempering pill, not only did he open up the meridians of his entire body, he also managed to condense a spiritual spring in his dantian, stepping into the sword master realm. However, the medicinal effect of the transcendent mortal tempering pill hadn't worn off yet, and Shenmu's realm was still climbing. Next day morning, Shenmu completely absorbed the medicinal effects of the transcendent body tempering pill and smoothly broke through to the 3rd-grade sword master realm. This is the sword master. The power is really many times stronger. Early in the morning, an honored guest came to the door. This time, the one who came was an elder of the Shen sword sect. Within the territory of HHHO, the Shen sword sect was undoubtedly the strongest sect, and the elder's personal presence could be seen to show how much importance the Shen sword sect attached to it. When Han Fu arrived at the Chen family, Chen Yan personally went out to greet him. This was a 6th grade sword cultivator, a powerful person that even City Lord Mudong Lu had to treat with respect. Elder Han, in front of Li, Chen Yan greeted him with an arch. Han Fu opened the door and said, "I'm here for your son this time, and our Shen sword sect is willing to pour out resources to cultivate him." In the face of the olive branch thrown out by the Shenzhen sect, Chen Yan was instead a bit nervous and didn't know how to answer. Shenmu possessed an extremely good root bone and was able to enter a better sect and obtained better cultivation conditions. The Shenzhen sect was quite prestigious in the vicinity of the Great Yan dynasty, and looking at the northern wasteland, there were 4 other major sects, and with Chenmu's talent, he was completely capable of entering the major sects. "Elder Han, the child is still young. Why don't we wait for more to grow up before we discuss it?" Chen Yan politely said. Han Fu frowned slightly and flung his sleeves indifferently. Could it be that the Chen Lin can't see past the Shen sword sect? Han Fu had his hands behind his back, his expression indifferent, and the airfield of the sword waiter almost made Chen Yan kneel on the spot. Here's the provided text translated and formatted as a cohesive English paragraph. Chen doesn't dare. Chen Yan hurriedly arched his hand to make amends. His scalp was numb. The Great Yan dynasty didn't dare to offend the Shen sword sect. How would the small Chen family dare to provoke them? With Chenmu's talent, he was completely capable of entering the top sects in the northern wasteland. If he agreed to Han Fu, Shenmu would lose out on a better opportunity. If they refused Han Fu, the Chen family would now offend the Shen sword sect, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Whoosh! A sword-like light landed outside the Chen family. Even Chen Mu and Chen Hao, who were practicing their swords in the martial arts arena, were startled. Chen Hao queried, "Third brother, did you just see what that was?" "Didn't see it clearly." "Second brother, let's go over and take a look," Chen Mu proposed. Chen Mu felt that it was a powerful cultivator, so he wanted to go over and take a look. Han Fu and Chen Yan looked toward the door at the same time. The woman in the purple dress walked into the Chen family. Jian had long legs and a delicate body, with angelic looks, and exuded coldness and arrogance. When Han Fu saw her, there was no surprise, only fear. That pressure. A sword king powerhouse. Jian walked up to the two. Han Fu hastily bowed his head in honor. Chen Yan arched his hand and said respectfully, "Chen Yan of the Chen family. I wonder what your name is, senior?" Jian's face was expressionless as she indifferently said, "Ling Yun sect, Zhao Yan." "Here for Chenmu." Han Fu's eyes widened. He had heard of Zhao Yan. She was the Ling Yun sect's supreme heavenly pride, the direct disciple of the sword saint Zhang Fuxian, the future candidate for sect leader, and one of the top 10 heavenly prides of the wasteland state. The Ling Yun sect was very far away from Hangzhou, and the Shenjian sect had ordered its people to block the news yesterday. So how did the Ling Yun sect know that there was a supreme-rooted pride appearing in Blackstone City? Even if it was a Sword King powerhouse, it would be impossible for him to arrive privately at Blackstone City so quickly. Did they find out about Chenmu a long time ago? Worthy of being the strongest force in the desolate state. Han Fu's heart palpitated, and he didn't dare to squeak again. Hearing that she was from the Ling Yun sect, Chen Yan hurriedly welcomed her. "So it's Fairy Xiao. Xiao is practicing his sword in the martial arts arena. Please come inside." Chenmu and Chen Hao happened to run in to join in the fun. Jian saw Chenmu at the first glance, and the pupils of her eyes condensed slightly as she said in a clear and cold voice, "Interesting." Han Fu was surprised. "Third grade sword master? Is this child really only 3 years old?" Even Chen Yan was at a loss for words. Could it be that Chenmu had once again refined himself, and he hadn't paid attention recently? The two brothers came to Chen Yan's side. Chen Yan said in a deep voice, "This is Elder Han of the Shen sword sect, and this is Fairy Xiao of the Ling Yun sect. You two, hurry up and salute. Meet Elder Han, meet Fairy Xiao. This is my son, Shenmu, and this is my big brother's son, Shen Hao," Chen Yan introduced with a smile. Even if Chen Yan didn't say anything, both of them could know who Chenmu was. A 3-year-old third-grade sword master, One couldn't even find a second one in Hangzhou. Mother, Han Fu secretly cursed. He then felt outrageous, a 3-year-old swordmaster. If this was placed in the Shen sword sect, in the future, the Shen sword sect might even top the strongest sect in the desolate state. It was a pity that the Ling Yun sect was a behemoth, or else the Shen Jian sect would really want to snatch someone. Shenmu just heard their conversation not far away and couldn't help but mutter in his heart, that old man is even more powerful than Grandpa. He can actually see through my cultivation. In the future, I have to find a way to hide my cultivation. He then sized up Zhao Yan, looking young and beautiful, but she gave Chenmu the feeling that she was unfathomable and more dangerous than the old man next to her. Chen Yan respectfully said, "Two of you, please come inside. I'll go make you some tea." Han Fu smiled bitterly and said, "I still have business to attend to. This token will be taken as a meet and greet gift. The Shen sword sect is willing to make friends with the Chen family." Chen Yan accepted the token and smiled, "Thank you, Elder Han. Come to the Chen family for tea when you have time." This token represented the Shen sword sect, and in the boundaries of Hangzhou, it could be used as a holy decree. Han Fu knew that Shenmu was unlikely to enter the Shen sword sect and that his future was unlimited, so he sold a favor to the Chen family. After Han Fu left, Chen Yan respectfully said, "Fairy Xiao has traveled a long way. Please rest in the lobby. I'll go make you some tea." Zhao Yan looked tired and said lazily, "I've been traveling from the southern wasteland for most of a month before arriving at Blackstone City, so let's arrange a room to rest first." "Yes," Chen Yan hurriedly agreed. There were very few rooms in the Chen family, and it just so happened that Chen Shi wasn't at home and her room was empty, so Chen Yan rushed to greet his sister-in-law. Zhao Yan went to her room to rest. Chen Yan immediately instructed the Chen family's maids and also specifically instructed his sister-in-law, Suyin. "This is a fairy from the Ling Yun sect. We must not neglect her." In the martial arts arena, Chen Hao said in a deep voice, "Third brother, the Ling Yun sect is the strongest force in the desolate state, and our 4 major sects in the northern desolate are younger brothers before it." Shenmu nodded slightly, thinking to himself, "Is she sent by Zhang Fuxian to protect me? If so, then this fiancé has thought of everything." The 2 brothers continued to practice their swords in the martial arts arena. Time passed quickly, and it was only in the evening that Zhao Yan left the room, and immediately a maid came forward to assist her. Suyin was even more enthusiastic. "Fairy Xiao, it's late. I've prepared food." Zhao Yan faintly said, "I've long since taken my qi to dispel the grain. You guys don't have to wait for me to eat in the future." Later, Suyin was at a loss for words. Zhao Yan said quietly, "Yes, I'm going to live in the Chen family for about 3 years." Suyin's eyes widened. She didn't dare to ask more questions. At this time, Chen Yan came to the courtyard and respectfully said, "Fairy Xiao, resting well? The bed is too soft. I like it harder." Zhao Yan stretched lazily. Suyin hurriedly spoke, "Fairy Zhao is really sorry. I'll change it for you right away." Chen Yan and Zhao Yan were talking in the lobby. Zhao Yan made her intentions clear. "Master has asked me to protect Shenmu, and when he turns 7, bring him to Ling Yun sect to cultivate. You have no problem with that, right?" "No, no." A smile piled up on Chen Yan's face. The Ling Yun sect was the top sect in the desolate prefecture, and he was naturally willing for Chenmu to be able to cultivate there. "Thank you, Immortal Xiao. I wonder who Immortal Xiao's master is?" "Patriarch Zhang Fuxian." Zhao Yan looked proud. Chen Yan was shocked that it was Zhang Fuxian. Was that marriage contract really arranged by her? Seeing Chen Yan's surprised expression, Zhao Yan laughed softly. "Shenmu is incredibly talented, so maybe he can even become my senior brother in the future." "What?" Chen Yan was a bit confused. Did Zhang Fuxian intend to take Chenmu as a disciple, or did he want Chenmu as a fiancé? "Although he is exceptionally gifted, my master will not take on a disciple easily, but entering the Ling Yun sect will also allow him to receive a large amount of resources." Zhao Yan had pride in her eyes. She was Zhang Fuxian's only disciple. In the martial arts arena, Chen Hao and Shenmu were practicing their swords. The terrifying airfield enveloped the martial arts arena, and the two stood in place, unable to move. Awesome. What a strong airfield. Shenmu watched Zhao Yan and walked towards him. Zhao Yan said in a cold voice, to have this cultivation at the age of 3, who taught you? Shenmu looked at Chen Hao. Second brother taught me, as well as grandpa taught me sword techniques. Hey, Chen Hao scratched his head in embarrassment. Zhao Yan was slightly shocked, then said in a cold voice, I will be living in the Chen family for the next few years. You cannot leave the Chen family without my permission. Oh, Shenmu nodded slightly. You'll have to ask her for instructions when you go out in the future. Although Shenmu was unhappy, he didn't dare to retort. No way, strength reigns supreme in this world. Shenmu, with a small white face and sunny smile, looked adorable as he blinked and said, Sister Fairy, can you teach us sword practice? Upon hearing this, a smile surfaced on Zhao Yan's icy cold pretty face, thinking that this little biddy really knows how to talk, but she still said indifferently, there's no time for that. If you want to cultivate, you can come back to Ling Yun sect with me right now. Chen Hao looked at Shenmu with envy. This was the opportunity for the carp to leap over the dragon gate. Shenmu spread his hands, don't want to go. Chen Hao's eyes widened, such an opportunity was actually rejected directly. Worthy of being the third brother. Entering a clan gives you access to a lot of resources, but it also comes with a lot of constraints. In Blackstone City, you can be with your family, and with the sign-in system, it's only a matter of time before you get stronger. Zhao Yan didn't force him, her master's mission was to protect Shenmu first. She didn't dare to make a decision without authorization. She said coldly and arrogantly, I'll go out to buy wine. You just stay in Chen's house and don't run around. Aha, Shenmu nodded. Only Zhao Yan rose up in the air and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Chen Hao looked shocked as he said, Third brother, a sword candidate powerhouse can fly with a sword. This sister is treading in the air, she is a sword king powerhouse. Sword king powerhouse, really handsome. Shenmu's eyes were on fire. He couldn't wait to fly. It seemed like he had to work harder in the future. Night. Shenmu returned to his room to rest as he browsed through the system mall for secret techniques and finally found one that instinctively hit his cultivation. Spirit Concealment Secret Technique. A spirit rank lower grade secret technique worth 700 signature value, capable of concealing one's spirit energy and also shielding one's breath. Successfully exchanged for spiritual secrets, consuming 700 sign-in values. Shenmu mastered the Spirit Concealment Secret Technique. This way, no one will be able to see through my cultivation. With the Spirit Concealment Secret Technique combined with the blistering shadow steps, Shenmu could sneak silently in the darkness of the night. Host. Shenmu. Realm. Early 3rd grade Swordmaster. Check-in value. 124. Mandate. None. No quests. No sign-in value. It looks like we're going to enter the boring cultivation mode again. Shenmu laid down on the bed to rest. The breathing method had melted into his breath, and even when he slept, he was absorbing aura. Late at night, he smelled the strong scent of wine. I don't know when Zhao Yan came to the house. Late at night, the room was filled with the scent of wine. Shenmu slightly opened his eyes as he used his weak afterimage to see Zhao Yan, who was close by. Zhao Yan's face was slightly intoxicated with peach color. Her pretty face was delicate, her nose was high and straight, and even at such a close distance, she couldn't see any flaws. In the middle of the night, what is she doing in my room? Shenmu muttered in his heart, wondering if Zhao Yan was drunk and not in her right mind. Don't pretend to be asleep when you're awake. Zhao Yan's voice was cold. Shenmu's sudden disordered breathing couldn't be hidden from Zhao Yan's eyes, so he could only open his eyes and whisper, Sister Fairy, is something wrong? When I came back, noticed that the aura in your room was relatively strong, so I came over to take a look. Zhao Yan spoke, also extending her hand towards Shenmu. Fairy sister, what are you doing? Shenmu's eyes widened, not knowing what to do. Zhao Yan coldly said, Idiot, I just wanted to check your body. She had just observed Shenmu's breathing, and the breathing method wasn't very strong, but the aura around the room was just too dense. What a thick meridian. Zhao Yan raised her eyebrows slightly. It should be some sort of special physique. No wonder it would be favored by her master. The night was already late. Zhao Yan slowly got up and lazily said, "You rest." Shenmu continued to rest. He was still using the breathing method after all. The Chen clan had Zhao Yan sitting in their midst. On weekdays, Shenmu was practicing his sword in the martial arts arena. It was hard to see Zhao Yan. She often stayed in the house, not knowing what she was doing inside, and would only go out when she was buying wine. Don't all Sword King powerhouses need to practice their swords? 5 days later, Chen Tianan returned to Blackstone City with the dark board crowd. Just as he entered the city, he was surrounded by several family heads, all here to discuss the engagement. Chen Tianan quickly understood what was going on, originally thinking that his grandson had at most a 7th grade root bone, but he didn't expect it to be a 9th grade, the extreme grade in the legend. One must know that in the Great Yan dynasty, for 100 years, the highest was only an 8th grade root bone. This matter still depends on the child's opinion. My grandson is still young, let's wait until he's older. Chen Tianan politely refused. Unlike many clans, the Chen family was monogamous, so there weren't many clansmen, and the older generation wanted the younger generation to be free to love. The road home was just 2 streets, but Chen Tianan had walked for 2 hours. He hadn't been treated like this in the decades he had lived in Blackstone City, and Shenmu's heaven-defying root bones had made the Chen family's scenery boundless. After returning home, Chen Tianan immediately called Chen Yan to his ancestral home to discuss the matter. "Chen Yan, what opinion do you hold on Xiao's marriage?" Chen Tianan said in a deep voice. Chen Yan looked solemn and said, "Father, it's better for us not to interfere in this matter. If he meets the woman of his choice in the future, no matter what the woman's background is, I will support her." Chen Tianan nodded his head and said in a deep voice, "That's true. Xiao was a dragon and phoenix amongst men. He will definitely soar above the 9 heavens in the future. We can't bind him. Maybe he can even marry the clan's holy maiden in the future, honoring his ancestors." Chen Tianan stroked his beard, the pride on his face overflowing. Chen Yan then respectfully said, "Father, the Ling Yun sect sent disciples to the Chen clan to shelter Xiao, and they are also Sword King powerhouses." "What? Where?" "I arranged to be in Chen's room." Chen Tianan immediately went to visit Zhao Yan. He was worried that Shenmu might encounter trouble after he became famous, but he didn't expect to run into the Ling Yun sect's noblemen. In the martial arts arena, Shenmu was still here as usual to practice his sword, but there were a few more little girls here in addition to the second brother. They were all watching Chen Hao practice with his sword. Shenmu frowned slightly and quickly understood what was going on. This was stuffing him with childhood friends. When Chen Hao saw Shenmu arrive at the martial arts arena, he smiled nervously and said, "That's my third brother, a genius with a 9th grade root bone." Shenmu blinked. "Third brother, this is Mulan of the City Lord's mansion, who is also very powerful." Mulan was dressed in a valiant leather jacket with a head full of thin braids, looking cool, around 8 or 9 years old, and already a 7th grade sword apprentice. The City Lord's mansion was the largest power in Blackstone City, and Mulan was a direct descendant of the City Lord's mansion, so her realm was naturally higher than children of the same age. If Chen Hao hadn't taken the body-tempering pill, otherwise his realm wouldn't be as high as Mulan's. Mulan sized up Shenmu and said crisply, "My name is Mulan, nice to meet you." "Hello." Shenmu smiled back. Chen Hao followed up with an introduction. "This is Xiao Qinger, this is Xiao Hunger. They are juniors from the Xiao family across the street, or twins." Shenmu looked at them. They were both only 5 or 6 years old. Xiao Qinger was wearing a green dress, and Xiao Hunger was wearing a red dress. The names were quite random. The 2 women softly said, "Hello." Shenmu nodded his head, then covered his stomach and anxiously said, "Second brother, my stomach is uncomfortable and swollen. I'll go back and rest for a while." "Third brother, I'll send you back to rest." Shen Hao intended to send Shenmu away. Shenmu waved his hand and said, "I can go back by myself. They're all guests, second brother, just stay here and take care of them." Chen Hao scratched his head and laughed nervously. "Okay then, second brother won't see you up. Shenmue found an excuse to leave the martial arts arena. He didn't want to be pestered by these little girls. 1 month later, Shenmue broke through to the 5th grade sword master. He felt that his cultivation speed had slowed down a lot, but he didn't realize that he had already reached a height that made it difficult for his peers to reach. At 3.5 years old, he was a 5th grade swordmaster, which was one of the few in the Great Yen dynasty. Perhaps only the first generation juniors of the hidden ancient clans and superpowers could be compared to Shenmue. Even Zhao Yan was quite moved. To have such an achievement at such a young age, even compared to her back then, was equal. You have to know that she can have the Ling Yun sect behind her every time. Shenmue met Zhao Yan. He would ask her questions about cultivation, but Zhao Yan would not answer any of them. If it wasn't for Zhang Fushan's mission, Zhao Yan wouldn't even have come to Blackstone City, let alone teach Shenmue to practice with the sword. It wasn't like she was here to be a nursemaid. In the evening, everyone eats at the ancestral home. Chen Tianan smiled and said, as the end of the year is approaching, the City Lord's Mansion will be organizing a martial arts competition between juniors, so Xiao can go and try it out. The people of Blackstone City pay taxes to the City Lord's Mansion every year, and the extra money from the City Lord's Mansion will be taken out to organize a martial arts competition, where the juniors with good results can take rewards, which is considered to be a way to give back to the people of the city. Yeah, Chen Hao rubbed his fists. Quest update. Sign into the Black Rock City Tournament final ring. Mission reward. Great Spirit Gathering Pill. Shenmue heard the mission update, and it was still a 4th grade elixir, the Great Spirit Gathering Pill, worth 1500 signing values, but the difficulty of the mission was a bit high. Signing into the final ring of the Blackstone City competition. This is for me to enter the finals, Shenmue murmured in the bottom of his heart. He hadn't fought anyone before and didn't know how much he weighed. If he wanted to make it to the finals, his strength was bound to be one of the best in Blackstone City, and he still didn't know the overall strength of the juniors in Blackstone City. Shenmue raised his head and said with firm eyes, Grandpa, I also want to participate in the martial arts competition. Everyone sniffed and laughed. Chen Wei reminded, Xiao, the participants in the competition are all older kids. You're still young. Shenmue's eyes were firm as he pleaded, eldest uncle, I want to try. Chen Tianan had checked Shenmue's cultivation and knew that he was very powerful. He smiled and said, go have some fun. It's all just a sparring match between juniors anyway. He originally didn't want Shenmue to show his face, but now that he had Zhao Yan in the Chen clan, since Shenmue was a heavenly pride, he should have been sharpened early on. Chen Yan didn't stop it either. He had heard Han Fu say before that Shenmue was a swordmaster, and he had later personally determined that it was a 3rd grade swordmaster. That was all last month, and the current Shenmue was already a 5th grade swordmaster. Chen Yan had recently become more and more unable to see Shenmue's realm, and he was too embarrassed to take the initiative to ask, or else his face wouldn't be able to hang on. Even a 3rd grade swordmaster could easily crush the juniors of Blackstone City. Shenmue was still young and had little combat experience. This opportunity to spar was great. Chen Yan had no problem with it. It's time to put him through his paces. The next day, Chen Yan went to the City Lord's mansion to enroll Chen Hao and Shenmue. The City Lord's mansion steward was shocked on the spot. Who didn't know Shenmue by now? 3 years old and you're competing in a tournament? Soon, the news that Shenmue was going to participate in the martial arts competition spread through the city. The number of participants in this year's tournament had increased quite a bit from previous years, all wanting to defeat Shenmue, its bragging capital for later. Both men and women in Blackstone City, young and old, were looking forward to the martial arts competition organized by the City Lord's Mansion, wanting to see if this little heavenly pride had 3 heads and 6 arms. 3 days later, the Black Rock City tournament is about to begin. Shenmue came to Zhao Yan's door. He gently knocked on the door and said loudly, Sister Fairy, I'm going to the city today to participate in the competition. Is that okay? Go on, Zhao Yan faintly said. Shenmue was about to leave, then turned around and asked, Sister Fairy, aren't you going? Hee hee, boring. Not worth wasting my time, Zhao Yan said in a cold voice. It's really arrogant. Shenmue shook his head slightly. He could smell the aroma of wine in front of the room, and the aura nearby was also very rich. City Lord's Mansion Martial Arts Arena. There were 8 martial arts rings here, which could accommodate thousands of people to watch the match, and the time was still early, but the place was already crowded. City Lord Mu Donglu sat on the high platform. He was the only sword candidate powerhouse in Blackstone City. To his left was the old crone in a white robe. Beside the old crone sat the little girl called Shui Lingling. Elder Baiyu have traveled a long way to come here, and today the latecomer has important matters to attend to again, so there's no way to entertain the two of you properly. Mu Donglu arched his hand to apologize. Baiyu waved her hand and laughed lightly, saying blandly, "There is no need to be courteous, City Lord Mu. I heard that a heavenly pride rarely encountered in 1,000 years has appeared in the Blackstone City, so I came here to take a look, and I heard that he will also take part in today's tournament." Mu Donglu nodded. "That's right. I heard that he's only 3 years old, and he dared to participate in a martial arts competition at such a young age. Unheard of, so the old woman was able to open her eyes today. Granny, I can too." The little girl called Shuyer had long, double ponytails, big bright eyes, delicate features, and wore a blue and white dress. The old woman laughed softly. "Linger, stay humble and don't be jealous." Shui Lingling skimmed unhappily. Shenmue and Shen Hao came to the backstage to get ready, where there were passages leading directly to the martial arts arena, and everyone else was in the audience watching the match. When Mu Dong saw Chen Tianan and the others arrive at the audience, he hurriedly urged, "Soar, hurry up and invite Dart Leader Chen and the others up." The guard Soar immediately invited Chen Tianan. Chen Tianan heard that it was an invitation from the city lord, so naturally, he was too embarrassed to excuse himself, and he brought Chen Yan and Chen Wei to the high stage. "Bodyguard Chen, this is the elder of the floating pavilion, Elder Bai Su. Elder Bai, this is Chen Tianan, the head of the Shenong Dark Bureau and the grandfather of our Blackstone City's heavenly pride, Shenmue. This is Shenmue's father, Chen Yan, and this is his eldest uncle, Chen Wei." Originally, Bai Su didn't care about Chen Tianan and the others, but when she heard that they were family members of Shenmue, she wore a smile on her face and nodded her head slightly in greeting. Chen Tianan and the others also arched their hands and looked respectful. "Greetings to Elder Bai." Bai Su softly inquired. "Daring to enter the ring at the age of 3, you must not be in a low realm." Chen Tianan humbly said, "Children like to be lively, they just came to play." Bai Su laughed softly. "Whether it is here to play or not, we will know when we have seen it later. Bodyguard Chen, brother Chen Yan, you all sit down. Don't be polite. Men, serve tea." Meng Lu also entertained them personally. He was the only sword cultivator in Blackstone City, and Chen Tianan and the others were flattered to understand that they had won all of this by relying on Shenmue. In the audience, everyone was looking enviously at Chen Tianan. Xiao Qingfeng was even more jealous. "Damn, Chen Tianan has a good grandson." Not much longer, the tournament begins. Backstage of the City Lord's Mansion Martial Arts Arena, everyone was sizing up Shenmue, who looked adorable with a small, fair face, eyes that were divine, and exuding vigor. Chen Hao lightly patted Shenmue's shoulder and laughed nervously. "Third brother, the emphasis is on participation. Don't be discouraged even if you have a round trip." "Good." Shenmue smiled back. Although Chen Hao practiced sword training with Shenmue and knew that his third brother was exceptionally talented, he did not yet know his true strength. Shenmue had yet to spar with anyone. The backstage steward seriously said, "You must use the City Lord's Mansion-issued bladeless iron swords, and the ring is point to point, so don't show off your ferocity." "Yes," the teens said in unison. Shenmue's voice was crisp. "Uncle, can I use my own wooden sword?" The middle-aged man in charge laughed loudly and said, "Yes, of course. Wooden swords are fine, but wooden swords are very disadvantageous. Are you sure you want to use a wooden sword?" Sure." Shenmue smiled sunnily. There was no cowardice visible on his face. The surrounding juniors couldn't help but laugh. The bladeless iron sword was more than a dozen pounds, and they felt that Shenmue was struggling to lift it. Not much longer, matchups were announced. There were 127 players. Shenmue directly rotated into the second round, and the odds were that it was a special arrangement by City Lord Mang Lu, who wanted Shenmue to stay in the arena for a longer period of time. Everyone is looking forward to his performance, and if he is out early, he will surely disappoint everyone, so he might as well let him hide one more round. A bell rings. The tournament kicked off. The kids on the stage were all about 10 years old, with the occasional 13 or 14-year-old, and all of these teens were here to compete for the title. The winner's reward was a valuable third-grade spirit medicine, a 500-year-old firecloud ginseng, which contained a large amount of spiritual substances that could aid in cultivation and which contained a large amount of vitality and could also be used as a wonderful medicine for nourishing the body. The runners-up were 2 great elixirs. Third to fourth place were 3 body-quenching pills, and the rewards behind them were decreasing in order, with the top 8 having 2 body-quenching pills and the top 16 having 1 body-quenching pill. Chen Hao's goal was to get into the top 16 and obtain a body-tempering pill. He had taken the body-tempering pill before, and taking it again would not have much effect, but rather he wanted to fight for his sister, and his big sister Chen. She had not used the body-tempering pill yet. In the first round, there was a big gap between each other, and it was all fall over very quickly. Boring. Shui Lingling's small mouth flicked. The old woman patiently said, "Linger, don't be in a hurry. Blackstone City's little heavenly pride hasn't even debuted yet." City Lord Mang Lu smiled and said, "This time after the registration, there are contestants who have a turn. Shenmue is young, so I'll let him have a turn to the second round. Shenmue will make his debut at the closest ring, number 1. Even if he encounters danger, I'll be able to stop it. Please don't worry about it yet, bodyguard Chen." Many thanks to City Lord Mu. Chen Tianan arched his hand in gratitude. Mu Donglu looked much younger than Chen Tianan, but he was already over 100 years old, and the lifespan of a sword cultivator powerhouse could be up to 300 years old, and the stronger the strength, the longer the lifespan. Chen Tianan and Chen Yan didn't worry about Shenmue. With his cultivation, as long as he played normally, he would surely be able to win the match easily. Chen Hao won easily just now. His progress during this period of time was very great. Chen Tianan smiled and stroked his beard. Chen Wei's eyes were filled with pride, and Chen Yan even nodded his head in praise. At this time, the middle-aged man wearing a brocade robe appeared on the high platform. Mu Donglu hurriedly got up to greet him. "Hongyang waiter's great presence. My subordinate has missed the welcome." Chen Tianan and the others also rose at the sound. Only Bai Su and Shui Lingling sat steadily on the high platform. They didn't care about worldly power. Hongyang candidate is in charge of Hangzhou, a 7th grade sword candidate. The elders of the Shen sword sect all have to respect him. He is equivalent to half a land emperor in Hangzhou. The crowned and gorgeous Hongyang candidate lightly laughed. "No need to be polite. This candidate came up for the king to take a look at the pride of our great Yan dynasty. Not too late, right?" Mu Donglu compensated with a smile. "Not too late, not too late. The little one will be making his appearance soon." "Hongyang, they are Shenmue's family members." Mu Donglu introduced the Chen family members. Chen Tianan arched his hand and said, "Chen Tianan of the Shenong Dark Bureau, meet the Hongyang waiter." Hongyang waiter smiled and waved his hand. "No need to be polite, let's just watch the match first." Chen Tianan once again took his seat, the pride on his face overflowing. Chen Yan and Chen Wei were both doubly honored because of Shenmue. Who would have thought that they would be able to sit on an equal footing with a few sword cultivator powerhouses today? The audience was full of envious looks. Shenmue stepped out of the backstage and instantly lit up the martial arts arena. The people in the audience were cheering, and the eyes of the entire audience were focused on him. He is Shenmue, a 9th grade root bone that is hard to come by in 1,000 years. It's still a real brat, though. Look, you guys, he's got a wooden sword hanging from his waist. When other juniors used wooden swords, people felt that they were pretending, but when Shenmue used a wooden sword, people felt that it was reasonable, that a child of this age should play with a wooden sword. Shenmue's pace was smooth, not cowed by the noisy sounds around him, as he came straight to ring number 1. No arrogance, a composure far beyond his years. This was Bai Su's first impression. Even if he didn't have an extreme root bone, I'm afraid that this child wasn't simple. Shui Lingling beamed, Granny, I don't see anything powerful about him. Bai Su shook his head and said in a serious tone, just because he is not powerful now doesn't mean he won't be powerful in the future. Blackstone City is just his starting point. The submerged dragon is in the depths of the abyss, and it will soar to the 9 heavens. Hongyang waiter watched Chenmu. He frowned slightly. He actually failed to see through Chenmu's cultivation? He could only assume that he was a sword apprentice below the 7th grade. Sword apprentices below the 7th grade had their auras internalized, making it difficult for even the strongest to distinguish them. It might be a bit of a stretch for him to participate in this kind of competition. The Hongyang waiter lightly laughed. He saw that there were also contestants who were sword masters. Chen Tianan smiled lightly and indifferently. The emphasis is on participation. It's good to take this opportunity to hone. That's not a bad opportunity. Hongyang waiter didn't look favorably on Shenmu. Opposite Shenmu was a 12-year-old boy, a 7th grade sword apprentice, yet he was a bit nervous as the entire audience was watching them. The teenager gripped his iron sword nervously. Shui Lingling laughed chirpily. He's so wimpy, he's actually afraid of a 3-year-old. Bai Su smiled and explained, he is not afraid of Chenmu but the pressure from his surroundings, which shows Chenmu's calmness that far surpasses his peers. Shui Lingling pursed her lips in defiance. After Chenmu appeared on the stage, her mother-in-law made a point of praising him, which made the little girl very jealous. The Hongyang candidate also nodded his head and praised, this son's heart is bound to become great in the future. At the praise of the two powerhouses, Chen Tianan's heart burst into laughter. Chen Yan was also looking at Chenmu with anticipation. This was Moore's first match, and it would be the starting point of his glorious battle. In the ring, Chenmu drew the wooden sword at his waist. The surrounding audience exclaimed even higher, and on the high platform, Shui Lingling chirped, it's actually a wooden sword. He's here to be funny, right? Chenmu blandly said, Chen family, Chenmu. The teenager weakly said, Shui family, Shuian. As the bell rang, the match began. Shenmu didn't have any nonsense and was the first to attack. He rushed towards Shuian with his wooden sword in hand, a diagonal slash of the sword, which was a basic sword move. Shuian hastily raised his sword to block. A huge force made his arm tremble. The iron sword in his hand instantly fell out of his hand, and his whole person was even shaken out of the ring. Chenmu, win. The official in charge of pronouncing the sentence was surprised. One move to win. Shuian's entire body was confused. The surrounding spectators were dumbfounded. Shenmu was using a wooden sword, defeating a 7th grade sword apprentice with a single sword? Was this still a 3-year-old child? Shenmu smiled in the direction of the high stage, then turned around and returned backstage to rest. Chen Tianan clapped his hands in delight. Chen Yan was filled with pride, as Chen Wei was still focusing on Chen Hao's match in the next ring. The Hongyang waiter said in a deep voice, that explosive power. It's at least an 8th grade sword apprentice, or even a sword master level. Young, lost in strength. It's me who underestimated him. The Hongyang waiter shook his head slightly. He even had times when he looked away. Bai Su analyzed, wooden sword wants to clash with iron sword this hard. His cultivation is bound to be not weak, and his young age has given a lot of surprises. Shui Lingling beamed and said in a delicate voice, to that extent, I can do it too. Linger, although you are a few years older than him, he is far more composed than you. You should learn more from him, Bai Su solemnly said. Shui Lingling creased her small face and beamed, unable to help but childishly say, if he dares to compete with me, I'll definitely be able to beat him down. Bai Su couldn't help but laugh lightly, always a child, competitive and loved to compare. Shortly afterward, Chen Hao also won the match, and the entire Chen family was happy for the brothers. Returning backstage, seeing how easily Chenmu won, Chen Hao excitedly said, "Third brother, awesome. It ended faster. Here's the provided text translated and formatted as a cohesive English paragraph. Then even I did. Luck. Chen Mu didn't inflate. Chen Hao laughed nervously. Shuian is a genuine 7th grade sword apprentice, so it's definitely not luck. Third round. Chen Mu faced 8th grade sword apprentice, Zhao Yite. The corners of Zhao Yite's mouth rose as the iron sword flipped back and forth in his hand, and he looked excited as he said, "I'm so lucky to have run into you, hee hee." He knew that Shenmu possessed an extreme root bone, and it would be hard as hell to win over him in the future. This was the only chance in his life, and he could blow it for the rest of his life if he won. As the match began, Zhao Yite rushed towards Shenmu without saying a word. He swung the iron sword in his hand and directly slashed over with a big windmill. It's a powerful move. The onlookers were terrified. If this hit his body, he would have to break bones, if not die. Zhao Yite did not have the slightest intention of keeping his hand. Chen Tianan, on the high platform, was calm and did not show a worried expression. With Mu Donglu and other sword cultivator powerhouses present, there could not be any waves. Facing the ferocious attack, Chen Mu did not dodge and directly swung his sword to meet it. The spectators were sweating for Chen Mu. That was Zhao Yite's strongest strike. Meeting it head-on, even a 9th grade sword apprentice would suffer. Madaka. Violent clashing of metals. Zhao Yite's arm went numb. All the force bounced back. The iron sword in his hand came out of his hand, and Zhao Yite retreated several steps. I concede. Zhao Yite voluntarily conceded defeat. A look of shock was all over his face. It's amazing how terrifying the strength of a 3-year-old can be. Shenmu, win. Yes. Bravo. Indeed gifted. The onlookers were abuzz, as they all wanted to know how far Shenmu could go today. Chen Tianan and Shen Yan clapped their hands, and Shen Wei laughed out loud. This kid is deeply hidden. Even I didn't know he was so powerful. Bai Su was not only observing Shenmu, she was also observing the reactions of the Chen family's people, and it looked like they knew that Shenmu had this ability. Shenmu was the first to enter the round of 16. Chen Hao in the back felt the pressure. Wow, third brother, Kawa. This is too fierce. I cannot lose face. To reach the top 16 is considered a success. By the time Chen Hao got into the ring, he fought for hundreds of moves before winning the match the hard way. Chen Tianan and the others were encouraging, "Good boy, well played." Chen Wei was satisfied with his performance. It's already a good achievement to reach the round of 16. The rest were all strong men of the 8th rank or above. The 4th round begins. Shenmu's opponent this round is a swordmaster. Yang Ming is 14 years old and a 2nd grade swordmaster. This is a genuine swordmaster. I wonder if Shenmu can continue to win? It's hard, isn't it? That's a swordmaster. A 3-year-old swordmaster? Do you guys think it's possible? Yang Ming has what it takes to win the title. Shenmu was a bit unlucky this round. The surrounding spectators were talking. Everyone did not favor Shenmu. His opponent was too strong, and his strength far exceeded that of a sword apprentice. Bai Su and Hong Yang-ho watched the ring. Whether Shenmu was a swordmaster or not would be known by looking at the outcome of this match. In the ring, the two exchanged names, and then Yang Ming took his stance. His airfield diffused, which was unique to swordmasters. The higher the realm, the stronger the airfield, and the more pronounced the opponent's suppression. In your airfield, the gap between a swordmaster and a sword apprentice was like a chasm, and it was as difficult as climbing into the sky to cross the ranks and win. Shenmu held his wooden sword in one hand. He felt that there was no need to hide anymore, so he might as well show his strength. Shenmu's robes tumbled. His strong airfield instantly suppressed Yang Ming's airfield, as he held the wooden sword in one hand and calmly said, "Please." Phew. The whole room gasped. On the high platform, Mu Donglu and the other sword candidate powerhouses were watching with wide eyes. The teacup Bai Su lifted up never reached her mouth, as she spoke with a trembling voice, "Truly, a 3-year-old swordmaster." She had previously said that Shenmu was a swordmaster but couldn't be sure until now. Bai Su found it unbelievable. She had also seen celestials who had become swordmasters at this age, but those children were all born within large families or clans. The small Chen family was actually able to cultivate swordmasters. The Hongyang candidate's eyes were glowing as he marveled. Indeed, it's a peerless talent that is hard to see in 10,000 years. God bless the great Yan dynasty. Chen Tian'an calmly sipped his tea. Shenmu and Yang Ming hadn't even exchanged blows yet. The next had already split the winners and losers, with Chen Hao losing to the 9th grade sword apprentice. 16th place is already pretty good. There are more older players this year, Mu Donglu said with a smile. Chen Tian'an also nodded his head in agreement. Xiao performed very well today. Next, look at Shamu to see how far he can go. Shui Lingling, who had originally belittled Shenmu, didn't speak for a long time. She was also shocked. A 3-year-old swordmaster. I wonder how many grades he would be. Chapter 012. Sweeping all the way in the ring, the two airfields collided. A powerful wind swept away. Yang Ming reminded in a cold voice, watch the move. He was holding an iron sword. His steps were as fast as flying. In the blink of an eye, he rushed to the near front. The iron sword did not have a sharp edge, but there was an invisible sword kai coming out. That sword energy was hissing. The wooden sword in Shenmu's hand danced horizontally, similarly carrying invisible sword kai. Sword kai collided. The gusty wind whistled. The two weapons collided together. The two men's silhouettes crisscrossed, and they kept making moves, several moves in a row. It's all even. Shenmu did not lose the slightest bit of ground. Whether it was speed or strength, Shenmu was not weaker than second-grade sword master Yang Ming. The audience gasped in shock, and the sword candidate powerhouse on the high platform praised, Shenmu, awesome. Surprisingly, it's not weaker than a second-grade swordmaster. A 3-year-old swordmaster. What a rare sight in the world. Chen Hao was equally dumbfounded. No way, third brother turned out to be so powerful. When Shenmu first started practicing, it was still Chen Hao who taught him horse stance and basic sword moves, and in just a few months, he was already a strong sword master. In the ring, Yang Ming felt great pressure. If he lost to a 3-year-old, even if the other party was a 9th-grade root bone, it would still be humiliating. Sorry, I'm going to get serious next. Yang Ming's sword stroke suddenly became ferocious, like a ferocious beast pouncing with a howling wind. And an elder in the surroundings recognized this sword skill and said in a deep voice, "This is the Silver Fox sword skill of the old Yang clan. A sword skill that is considered to be the very best of the mortal rank. This sword technique is extremely fierce. Shenmu is still a child, I'm afraid it's hard to hold on." Chen Yan could not help but get nervous. Yang Ming had been practicing for many years, and the sword technique he used was even more pure. But Chen Tian'an had a winning look on his face. He knew that Shenmu had already mastered the 13 swords of the dragon's breath. In terms of sword skill strength, Chen Tian'an believed that Shenmu was better. In the ring, facing Yang Ming, who was attacking fiercely with his sword, Shenmu suddenly retreated half a step, then half crouched and turned around to draw a circle with his sword, extremely fast. Yang Ming was too late to defend. Click. Yang Ming's pants leg was cut open. Hiss. Yang Ming sucked in a breath of cool air. He felt that the sweaty hairs on his legs had been chopped off. Even though it was a wooden sword, the sword kai was enough to cut through both trees, and it was even easier to cut off his legs. He froze in place. It was Shenmu who showed mercy. Yang Ming was able to remain unharmed. I concede. Yang Ming lost convincingly. The martial arts arena resounded with loud cheers. They have the honor of witnessing the rise of the heavenly pride. Shenmu, win. Shenmu successfully entered the final 8. Chen Tian'an stroked his beard, the dragon swinging its tail, used it just the right time. Very talented in combat. Bai Su nodded slightly and complimented, this child is clear-headed when fighting. Knowing that Yang Ming will reveal his weaknesses when he attacks violently, seizing the moment, calmly retreating, and then seeing the weaknesses for a single. Here's the provided text translated and formatted as a cohesive English paragraph. Strike to stop the enemy. Such a fighting talent is not something that can be given by the roots and bones. This child, it's not simple. Far beyond the composure of children of his age, calm and collected in battle, a phoenix-like presence. Yes, does he have rich combat experience? Hong Yang-ho looked toward Chen Tian'an. Chen Tian'an shook his head back and forth, proudly saying, I just taught him this sword technique, and other than practicing it at home, I haven't officially used it yet. That's genius. Hong Yang-ho's eyes were filled with envy. Mu Donglu smiled and congratulated, young dragon of the Chen family, the future is unlimited. Chen Tian'an hurriedly arched his hand and compensated with a smile. Chenmu's 9th grade root bone was exceptionally gifted. Today's battle was just the beginning. He was destined to rise in the future, and more forces were willing to befriend the Chen family. Ten Yuan won 3 consecutive matches to advance to the 5th round. Among the remaining top 8, there were 2 9th grade sword apprentices, 2 1st grade sword masters, 2 2nd grade sword masters, and 1 3rd grade sword master. Although Chenmu's realm was that of a 5th grade sword master, however, he didn't have as much combat experience as the rest of the group, and during the match, he was still keeping an eye on the battles and the other rings to learn from them. Round 5. Shenmu faced Liang Yi, a 9th grade sword disciple. This opponent was much weaker than Yang Ming. Liang Yi was the only female contestant left on the field, at the age of 13, a 9th grade sword apprentice. When looking at Blackstone City, she was the best among the juniors. Everyone knew that Chenmu was a swordmaster, a 3-year-old swordmaster. How perverted must this talent be? Liang Yi didn't retreat and still drew her sword to meet the battle. Shenmu held a wooden sword and stabbed straight out. The 2 swords collided together. There was no momentum as everyone thought. Liang Yi was still in the ring. Shenmu only used the strength of a sword apprentice, and he wanted to spar with his opponent's sword moves more often. A nearby elder laughed, ha ha ha, at a young age, you know how to let go of water. Alas, he put water on Christina and not my grandson, clearly favoring women over men. Only strong people like Bai Su knew clearly. Shenmu was borrowing his opponent to hone himself. If one used the cultivation of a swordmaster to crush their opponent, they would not be able to test the flaws in their sword stance. This was Chenmu's thought. Christina Lee poured her all into the attack but could not break through Chenmu's defense in the slightest, and after many attempts, she took the initiative to admit defeat. I'm not as skilled as a human being. Chenmu wins again. The entire Blackstone City was abuzz with Chenmu's performance, and everyone was looking forward to his next match, with very strong players still on the field. Disciple of the Shenjian sect, Sun Kai. Sun Kai, a junior member of the Sun family, had specially rushed back from the Shen sword sect to win this 3rd great spiritual pill, originally thinking that there would be no difficulty, but he didn't expect Chenmu to come out of nowhere. The time was approaching noon. The audience in the martial arts arena had not decreased in the slightest. Instead, there were many people outside the city lord's mansion, all inquiring about the news inside. Many people hadn't met Chenmu yet, and now he had become the pride of all the people in the city. For such a genius to appear in Blackstone City, the people of the same town, the neighbors, and the neighborhood all followed suit. Semi-finals. Chenmu faced 2nd grade sword master Liu Yan. Sun Kai faced off against 1st grade sword master Sha Gang. Although Chenmu played one less round, his opponents were all of high quality and even more difficult than Sun Chi's string of 5. Liu Yan was 16 years old, the oldest of the contestants, and was also the last to participate in the Blackstone City's martial arts competition. Chen Yan looked grave and said, this Liu Yan has solid basic skills and is probably a formidable opponent. Shamu still has a big chance of winning. Chen Tian'an calmly took another sip of tea. Chen Tian'an knew that Chenmu was in a higher realm and was skilled in the first 4 swords of the 13 swords of Dragon's Breath and could also make the Dragon's Breath. Bai Su and Hong Yang-ho were also looking forward to it. The showdown begins. Chenmu and Liu Yan's airfield is in full swing. There was a wave of air spreading near the ring. Chenmu held the wooden sword, his toes gently tapped the ground, and his entire body was like a rabbit that had taken off and tottered out. Amazing speed. Liu Yan didn't panic, crossing his sword in front of him, and after seeing Chenmu's movements, he fiercely struck out his sword. Madaka. Clanking. The 2 swords kept colliding. Chenmu and Liu Yan swapped positions during the fight. Wooden and iron swords colliding, sword kai interlacing, and some leaves falling into the ring being sliced to pieces in the hands of a swordsmith. Even bladeless iron and wooden swords had extreme destructive power. In the next ring, Sun Kai had defeated his opponent, and no one cheered for him because all eyes were on Shenmue. The corner of Sun Chi's mouth rose slightly as he looked at the petite figure and faintly said, "Good thing, so everyone will remember me." He didn't feel threatened by Shenmue. Sun Kai had practiced for a year in the Shen sword sect and had learned a lot of things that were far beyond what the juniors of Blackstone City could compare to. Shenmue felt that Liu Yan was very strong, stronger than any opponent he had encountered before. His attacks were not very sharp, but his defense was airtight. Yanagi decided to drag Shenmue down. He's only 3 years old, he definitely can't keep up with his stamina. So as long as we deplete his stamina, we can win. This was Liu Yan's thought. Bai Su and other powerhouses could see what Liu Yan was thinking. Shen Tianan was calm, and Hong Yang-ho knew that Shenmue must still have his cards when he saw this. In the ring, Shenmue was also clear about his opponent's thoughts, wanting a protracted battle. He wasn't afraid, but it was just a bit of a waste of time. He's a little hungry, want to go home for dinner. Shenmue suddenly retreated and appeared to be shaking back 2 steps. Liu Yan saw this and posted his output. He guessed that Shenmue might have exhausted his strength. Facing the bullying Liu Yan, Shenmue once again stepped back, seemingly undefeated. Phew, the surrounding audience was in a state of shock. Even Shen Tianan on the high platform felt that something was wrong, but even if he collapsed here, this achievement was enough to laugh at the juniors of Blackstone City. Chen Yan was tense. It didn't matter if he won or not, he only hoped that Shenmue wouldn't get hurt. Bai Su and Hong Yang-ho's faces did not change, they were still staring at the ring with unblinking eyes. Shui Lingling didn't speak for a long time, her eyes widened as she looked at Shenmue in the ring, eager to see his defeated and wretched appearance. As Shenmue kept retreating, Liu Yan felt that this was the opportunity he was waiting for, and he let go of it, striking out to attack without reservation. Shenmue retreated to the edge of the ring. In the face of Liu Yan, who was pouncing, he no longer had the space to retreat, so he gently pointed his toes on the ground and rose like a dragonfly pointing at the water, rising high, and the wooden sword in his hand even drew a perfect arc in mid-air. It's the dragon's head. The Chen family is quite familiar with this trick. Liu Yan's pupils shrunk as he watched Shenmue scurry up so fast that he couldn't dodge in time. It's a trap. The wooden sword pivoted Liu Yan's iron sword and struck the latter's chin. Liu Yan's entire body was lifted out and ended up falling heavily outside the ring. Shenmue landed steadily and then calmly put away his wooden sword. Willow Rock is knocked out of the ring. Mew looked me silly, it actually backfired. Many of the spectators in the martial arts arena were watching the match on a hungry stomach and still shouted loudly with excitement, which they all found unbelievable. It wasn't pure strength crushing, but rather it was a win through heart game, through skill, proving that Shenmue was very mindful. Bai Su's eyes glowed with love. This is the most stunning junior I've ever seen. Shui Lingling's little mouth pouted. Hong Yang waiter nodded alone. The Northern Wasteland Sword Emperor wasn't even as stunning as him when he was a child. Perhaps he can match the legendary one in the North Wasteland. Even Zhang Fuxian failed to reach the heights of that legend. It's not impossible for this child. I think there's still hope. Bai Su also gives high marks. Chen Tianan was flattered to be able to have the 2 seniors praising him. He couldn't stop smiling, and Mu Donglu couldn't help but mention, "Bodyguard Chen, let me mention something to you. My family's Mulan is very fond of your family's Shenmue." Chen Tianan had a bit of a headache when he heard this and quickly politely refused. This child is still young, and he is very individualistic, so let him make his own choice. Mu Donglu shook his head regretfully, wondering if Mulan could fight for the Mu family. Bai Su looked at Shui Lingling beside her and asked with a smile, "Linger, are you interested in him?" "Granny, help you ask." Shui Lingling crossed her small, savage waist and beamed, her small face full of displeasure. "No. I don't like him, so I want to beat him up." She had been in the limelight since she was a child and had never been ignored. Today, Shenmue was undoubtedly the protagonist. From her mother-in-law's tone, she could hear her love for him and was also the most stunning junior that her mother-in-law had ever seen. All of this made Shui Lingling jealous. She felt that she was more powerful than Shenmu. In the next ring, the corner of Sun Qi's mouth rose slightly as he said in disbelief, "Speculation. You don't stand a chance in front of absolute strength." Before the final, Shenmu and Sun Kai are resting backstage. The spectators in the martial arts arena were all talking about who would be the final first, knowing that Shenmu was only 3 years old, and to be able to go this far was already enough to defy the heavens, and his next opponent was a disciple of Shennon's, Sun Kai, who had been practicing in the Shen sword sect for a year. Meng Lu served tea to several VIPs. He smiled and asked, "Hongyang, who do you think will win?" Hongyang waiter laughed lightly. "I feel that Shenmu didn't use his full strength. He has a chance." Mu Donglu looked toward Bai Su and respectfully said, "Elder Bai, what do you think?" Bai Su looked indifferent and smiled. "That boy Shenmu has performed brilliantly, and I'm sure he can still bring us more surprises." Meng Lu finally looked at Chen Tianan and said seriously, "Bodyguard Chen, divulge something." Chen Tianan humbly said, "It's already great that Xiao has made it this far, and we're very satisfied with this one, regardless of whether we win or lose." Chen Yan and Chen Wei both smiled and nodded. The spectators in the martial arts arena hadn't even eaten their meals and were looking forward to the final. Backstage, Chen Hao lightly patted Shenmu's shoulder and laughed nervously. "Third brother, go for it." Not far away, Sun Kai was full of complacency, thinking that he was winning, even fantasizing about the image of all the people watching, defeating the 9th grade root bone Heavenly Pride. What a sight it would be. End of break. Shenmu and Sun Kai came to the ring. They will close out the match play competition. Sign in successfully. Congratulations on getting the great elixir of gathering. Shenmu felt something extra in his arms. Gaining a reward, the smile on his face became even sunnier, and he said crisply, "Chen clan, Shenmu. Sun family, Sun Kai." As soon as the words fell, Sun Qi's airfield unfolded strongly. The strong airfield shocked the audience. This strength was feared to be not far from a 4th grade swordmaster. But immediately afterward, as Shenmu's airfield unfolded, the eyes of the crowd became even more excited. Shenmu's airfield was actually going to be even stronger, asterisk 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 asterisk. Stronger than a 3rd grade swordmaster. Just how many grades of swordmaster is he? Chen Yu really didn't let them down, and any longer wait was worth it. On the high platform, Chen Yan and Chen Wei were murmuring, "It's only been a few days. Xiao's strength has refined once again. Is this the cultivation talent of a 9th grade root bone?" Shenmu's display of strength shocked the entire audience. Bai Su even stood up to watch, followed by Mu Donglu and Hongyang Ho, and Chen Tianan even stood up earlier. The final winner will be decided soon. Sun Kai looked grave and frowned, completely not expecting Shenmu's realm to be so high. He forced himself to calm down and reassured himself, "I've been practicing for nearly 10 years. I'm bound to be able to make up for the gap in my cultivation with my superb sword skills." His hands gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, erecting it in front of him, with absolutely no desire to attack. Seeing this, Shenmu took the initiative to attack. He had no reservations and instantly appeared in front of Sun Kai, first striking a dragon swinging tail out of the sword fluidly. Sun Kai was forced to cross his sword to block, and as the two swords collided, Sun Kai was shaking back several steps. Then Shenmu's sword came out like a dragon, Sword Kai whistling and went straight for Sun Qi's waist and abdomen. Sun Qi's pupil shrunk violently. Shenmu's attack was fierce, and Sun Kai could only keep swinging his sword to block. The moment the iron sword blocked the wooden sword, Shenmu leapt up once again with a skillful dragon head lift, and Sun Qi's iron sword was lifted off the ground. Sun Kai took several steps backwards before standing still. He looked left and right as Shenmu disappeared from sight. He lowered his head. Shenmu ped at his feet as he held his wooden sword high, and he was still barely able to reach Sun Qi's neck. "I lost." Sun Kai looked forlorn and said. The martial arts arena echoed with deafening cheers, and all the spectators' blood boiled as they were honored to see the rise of the Heavenly Pride. Mu Donglu came to the ring. He was very happy to see such a heavenly pride appear in Blackstone City. Blackstone City would be famous for him. Meng Lu said loudly, I announced that Chen Mu is the first place winner of this year's martial arts competition. Yes. Good job, Chen Mu. The crowd was cheering for Chen Mu. Chen Yan's eyes contained tears. He was immensely proud that his son was this good. Third brother, Bull. Chen Hao also shouted in excitement. Chen Tianan's old face smiled, his eyes full of pride. Perhaps the Chen family could, in their generation, regain its former glory. Han Yang waiter solemnly said, his name will resound throughout Great Yen, reaching every corner. Bai Su lightly laughed, not to mention Great Yen, in the future, the entire northern wasteland will resound with his great name. The Hongyang candidate concurred, no matter where he goes in the future, he is still a heavenly pride that has gone out from the Great Yen dynasty, and Great Yen is proud of him. Meng Lu awarded prizes to the top 16 players. Chen Mu received a third-grade Firecloud ginseng, and Chen Hao received a body-tempering pill. The audience was hesitant to disperse, wanting to see Chen Mu 2 more times. On the podium, Christina Lee snickered, I've had the most fights with Chen Mu, and with this record, I guess I can brag about it for the rest of my life. It's a bit humiliating, but I was the first to lose to Chen Mu. Yang Ming scratched his head. The rest of the teenagers who had fought with Chen Mu had smiles on their faces. They weren't jealous, they were convinced of their loss. Being able to fight with a heavenly pride with a 9th-grade root bone was a great honor in itself. You 2 brothers, follow me. Mu Donglu led them to the high platform. Bodyguard Chen, I'm hosting a banquet at my residence today, so let's drink a few cups later. Many thanks to City Lord Mu. Chen Tianan did not refuse, the City Lord treated him with courtesy. This face still had to be given. Elder Bai, Hongyang waiter, I'd like to ask you 2 to please honor me with. Here's the provided text translated and formatted as a cohesive English paragraph. Your presence. This way, please. Mu Donglu arched his hand to invite them. The crowd arrived at the hall of the City Lord's mansion. The table had already been set with a mountain of food. Shen Mu had long been starving, and the battle consumed a lot of physical strength, so he ended up fighting at quick battle just because he was too hungry and wanted to go home to eat. Meng Lu arranged Mulan to wait beside Chen Mu. Mulan's dress was cool. She originally didn't have much interest in Chen Mu, but after seeing his performance today, she was completely conquered. Brother Chen Mu, come, eat a chicken leg. Mulan took the initiative to give him food, being very fond of him. Thanks. Chen Mu only focused on burying his head to eat. He wolfed it down and ate it. Chen Tianan knew his appetite and said with a smile, City Lord Mu, this grandson of mine is incredibly gifted, but he also has a shocking appetite. I'm sorry, it's okay, let go and eat. Tell the back kitchen to keep serving. When Shui Lingling saw Chen Mu's eating appearance, she couldn't help but give him a blank look. Bai Su smiled and asked, your junior is incredibly talented. Is there a clan you want to go to? Our Piao Miao Pavilion is one of the 4 major sects in the northern wasteland, stronger than the Shen sword sect, and also able to provide assistance to the Chen family. So why don't Elder Chen allow him to cultivate in our Piao Miao Pavilion? Bai Su threw out an olive branch. All of the ordinary juniors only had the fate of being chosen by the sect, and only the exceptionally talented juniors had the right to choose the sect. Shui Lingling didn't have the heart to eat. She stared at Chen Mu and glared twice every now and then, thinking that if he dared to come to the floating pavilion, she would find a chance to beat him up severely. The Misty Pavilion is the northern wasteland's holy place of cultivation, and the juniors within the Great Yen dynasty rarely go there, and the Shen sword sect within its territory are all existences that are difficult for them to reach. Both Mu Donglu and King Hongyang felt that Chen Tianan would not refuse such an opportunity. However, Chen Tianan smiled apologetically and said, Thank you senior for your kindness, but Xiao has already been spotted by a senior from the Lingyun sect, so I'm really sorry. Upon hearing this, Bai Su regretfully shook her head inside softly, and Shui Lingling was even more surprised to see Chen Mu, who had actually been spotted by the Lingyun sect. That was the strongest sect in the desolate state, and when looking at the continent, it was a top superpower. The Shen sword sect's influence was only in the Great Yan dynasty, the Misty Pavilion's influence was only in the northern wasteland, and the Ling Yun sect's influence was in the entire desolate continent. The Ling Yun sect has a sword saint in attendance. Mulan had also heard of the Ling Yun sect and felt more and more that Chenmu was cute and powerful. Bai Su lightly laughed. I wonder which big brother senior of the Ling Yun sect is it? Bai Su was little known in the northern wasteland, and she also knew quite a few seniors from the Ling Yun sect. Chen Yan respectfully said, it should be Zhao Yan's master. Zhao Yan is living in the Chen family. Zhao Yan? One of the 10 great celestial prides of the desolate state? Sword Saint Zhang Fuxian's personal disciple? Bai Su was shocked. The Sword Saint Zhang Fuxian, that was the big brother that the pavilion master of the floating pavilion would have to bow his head when he touched it, and her disciple was the absolute pride of the wasteland state, and he would personally come to shelter Chenmu? It was important to know that Zhao Yan was a sword king, and that she was likewise an extreme root bone. To be able to make Zhang Fuxian dispatch Zhao Yan, just how much potential did Chenmu have in him? Sword Saint Zhang Fuxian, Han Yang Ho gulped. Chenmu ate his meal and thought to himself, is the fiancé really that scary? A single name could scare them into a stony expression. Bai Su said in a deep voice, your junior can be considered lucky to meet the one from the Ling Yun sect, and it's fortunate that he wasn't found by the Shen Jian sect first. If the Misty Pavilion knew that the Shen sword sect had obtained a heavenly pride like Chenmu, it would definitely try to snatch it, but with a behemoth like the Ling Yun sect and a junior who had been favored by Zhang Fuxian, Bai Su wouldn't dare to offend it. At the dinner table, everyone felt that Chenmu had a promising future. Bai Su smiled and introduced Chenmu. This is our Misty Pavilion patriarch's direct descendant, Shui Lingling. You can get acquainted. It was then that everyone noticed the delicate and cute little girl at the dining table, who had a unique temperament and exuded a powerful airfield. Without Chenmu, everyone's eyes would definitely be on her. Well, hello there. Chenmu was just focusing on eating with his head down and just casually answered. Shui Lingling glared and said crisply, when you finish eating, I want to compete with you. At those words, the people at the table laughed. They were quite interested in the competition. Chenmu raised his head to survey her and could sense no weak fluctuations in her body. Bai Su proudly said, Water Spirit is a descendant of the Sword Emperor and carries an 8th grade spiritual root, and it's also a rare pure water sword body. Pure water sword body? The Hongyang candidates were all shocked at his words. 9th grade root bones were rare, and various physiques suitable for cultivation were even rarer. Do you dare to compete with me? Shui Lingling stared at Chenmu and exclaimed. She was just 7 years old, not much older than Chenmu, but her aura was even stronger than those teenagers she ran into in the ring today. Mulan was all but intimidated by her aura. Bai Su had no intention of stopping it. Han Yang Ho and Mang Lu both wanted to watch the fun, while Chen Tianan and Chen Yan shook their heads helplessly. Chen Hao skimmed his mouth, thinking that third brother would actually challenge him after fighting several rounds in a row. Shenmu was a hegemonic sword body, and he didn't know how his physique was, so when he heard Shui Lingling's challenge, he naturally became interested. Yeah, I'm not full yet though. Shenmu buried his head and continued to wolf down his food. Mulan laughed happily at the sight and continuously gave him food, smiling delicately. Brother Chenmu, you've had a hard day today. Come, eat more meat. There was a smile in the watery eyes. She finally got the chance to show her strength. Bai Su laughed softly. This little ninny has been competitive since she was a child, so don't mind if you all do. Chen Tianan shook his head. There's no harm in it. It's quite good for juniors to spar and exchange ideas. There was talk and laughter in the hall. In Blackstone City, the news of Chenmu crushing the entire field had long spread, shocking the entire city by sweeping all the juniors in Blackstone City at the age of 3. Chapter 014. Heaven's Pride Dual City Lord's Mansion. Chenmu ate and drank his fill. Today's race consumed a lot of energy and needed to be replenished, so I had a better appetite. The Hongyang waiter smiled at Chen Tianan and said, the king is so busy with his day-to-day business that he specially sent me to Blackstone City to congratulate him, and if there's a chance, the king would like to invite the Chen family to the king's capital to have some fun. Within the Great Yan dynasty, the Shen sword sect did not ask about the world. The Yan king was responsible for managing the mundane world, and there was also a sword king powerhouse sitting within the royal family. Being able to obtain the olive branch thrown out by King Yan was something that countless clans could only dream of. Chen Tianan arched his hand and smiled. I would also like to ask Hongyang waiter to thank the king for me for his kindness. The end of the year is approaching, and the dartboard is busy. When I am free in the future, I will definitely pay a visit to the royal capital. Chen Tianan politely refused. Gangsters don't like temples. Hongyang Ho did not say anything more. Chen Hao suddenly opened his mouth as he respectfully said, Uncle Hongyang Ho, can you help me bring this body-tempering pill to my sister? My sister Chen, she is practicing at the Hengao Martial Arts Academy. Chen's brows furrowed as he sniffed, and he quickly explained, Hongyang Ho is really sorry, my boy doesn't know any better. There's no need to trouble you with this kind of thing. No harm, it's nothing more than a show of hands. The Hongyang waiter smiled and accepted the body-tempering pill. Shui Lingling was filled with doubt that he would give away the body-tempering pill that he had won with great difficulty. Chen Wei thanked him repeatedly, then shook his head at Chen Hao. This was the famous Hongyang waiter. This brat actually dared to make him. Chen Hao shrunk his neck, he didn't think about it that much. He just thought that Hongyang waiting was on his way, not a big deal. Seeing this, Mu Donglu smiled and complimented, Bodyguard Chen, these grandchildren of yours are quite understanding. Chen Tianan laughed out in relief. If the family wanted to be strong, they had to help each other. Bai Su looked in his eyes. Small clans were more likely to appear to help each other, while large clans were more likely to climb over each other and compete for resources. Mu Donglu solemnly said, Bodyguard Chen, escorting darts is very hard. I can arrange easy errands for you, and the treatment is definitely better than escorting darts. Chen Tianan shook his head slightly and politely said, thanks to City Lord Mu's kindness. Mr. Chen has been escorting darts for many years and has deep feelings for the dartboard. He didn't want to rely on Chenmu to enjoy glory and wealth. The two brothers, Chen Yan and Chen Wei, nodded their heads. They both wanted to support themselves with their own labor. Chenmu knew that escorting darts was hard work, and he also wanted his grandfather to do an easy job, but the old man was stubborn and wanted to save face, so he didn't persuade him. Are you ready? Shui Lingling stared at Shenmu and asked. Shenmu shook his head slightly and said cozily, it's a bit full, I want to rest for a while. I'll wait for you. Shui Lingling hummed softly. Half an hour later, City Lord's Mansion Martial Arts Stadium. The surrounding auditorium was a bit chilly. Hongyang Ho and Chen Tianan were both near the ring, and the two juniors had already arrived at the ring. Shui Lingling held the exquisite long sword in her hand, its body glowing with blue light. It was a lower-grade spirit sword, far stronger than an ordinary iron sword. Chen Tianan frowned slightly. A spirit sword against an ordinary wooden sword. Shenmu was at a huge disadvantage. Elder Bai, I propose that both use iron swords. He didn't want his grandson to suffer. Bai Su nodded. I think it's reasonable. Shenmu kind of liked using this wooden sword, and since he asked them to switch swords, he didn't refuse. Using an iron sword would definitely be stronger. Mu Donglu personally presided over this sparring match, saying earnestly, meeting friends with martial arts, point by point. The tournament begins. Shui Lingling's airfield was fully opened, and a strong airfield swept across the entire ring. Chenmu's face had no ripples, he didn't move at all, and the same airfield was fully opened, which actually made